Now, say my name.
Heisenberg.
You're goddamn right.
Well, here we are again, class. Going to have John from Modern Life Dating in a little bit later. He's probably still waking up at this point. I know it's like 6 in the morning or something in Japan. So today we're going to talk about what makes you a high-value man. Is that even a thing? Should it even be a thing? We shall see. Buenos tardes, mis amigos, mi amigos, amigas. Maybe there's a few. Bambi was in here a little while ago. Sorry. I've got a new mount for the dog cam. I guess I should set it up at some point, shouldn't I? All right. You like that new intro? I'm probably going to get demonetized just for that intro. We'll see. How are we doing? New soundboard sounds today. I'm actually working on getting a stream deck. I'm rapidly beginning to understand that I need a little bit more than just 8 sound drops now and then. So, anybody catch the show yesterday? Rule Zero I hosted. It was pretty good. I think so. We talked about, what is your value? What is your worth? And today I wanted to sort of dig into that maybe a little bit deeper. I'm seeing a lot of these, I don't say euphemisms, but I guess it's like new terminology. It's just a nicer, easier way to say or to refer to certain things. One of those, of course, is, the high value man. That seems like that's the well, I guess it started back in 2020, but it's certainly 2021 it's the new hotness. It's the new way of basically saying alpha male. Is it? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I might be wrong about that. And I'll tell you why I think I'm probably wrong about referring to high value men or high values men. And that's a double entendre. Once again, go look that up. Because I keep seeing the word or the term high value thrown around, and it's being, tossed about like M&Ms lately. And yes, I'm going to get into, what the hell is her name? Natoma or something like that. The chick that was on, I previewed this on Rule Zero yesterday, but the chick that was on, I think she's a journalist. She was on Tim Pool. And of course, because the red pill is the new hotness right now, everybody's got to talk about it. So Abba and Preach are now red pill. Tim Pool, now red pill. The lumber cuck, Jack Murphy, now he wants to be red pill. He was red pill before he wasn't red pill, and now he's red pill again. So it's like whatever works at that particular time, that's what everybody wants to be. Nobody wants to be in the manosphere until everybody wants to be in the manosphere, and then nobody wants to be in the manosphere anymore. So it's like, where are we at? Why are we coming up with these terms that are like easy? It's like easy listening. You know what happens to me? Like when you listen to, and when you've been around we've been in the music industry as long as Rollo Tomassi has been. When you go and you get into an elevator and you hear like the music that's going on the overhead of the elevator. And it's a song. You go, where have I heard that song before? And it's like literally like Crazy Train by Ozzy, right? It's Randy Rhoads and it's Crazy Train, but it's like easy listening, crazy, but that's how it's like the jazz. It's like the Michael Bublé version of Crazy Train, if there is such a thing, right? And when you hear that and you grew up on that kind of music, right? I grew up with Ozzy, especially the Blizzard of Oz album and Diary of a Madman. That was my introduction really to Black Sabbath and really to like metal music. Iron Maiden, of course, Judas Priest at that time. There's a lot of old school bands that I think we think of as like 80s metal bands that were really kind of late 70s metal bands. Like Motorhead was a late 70s band. But you hear that music and you turn it into jazz, or there's a there's a group of guys, and actually I kind of like them too. There's a group of guys that do bluegrass versions of like heavy metal and hard rock tunes. They're called Hayseed Dixie. Go check them out. They have a really good version of Gin and Juice too, which is kind of funny. But they'll take like songs by Motorhead and they'll take songs like by AC/DC or whatever, and they'll turn them into like kind of bluegrass tunes, and they sound pretty good. And then sometimes you'll hear covers, and there's nothing wrong with doing covers. There's nothing wrong with like trying to do something like I hear versions of Iron Maiden songs. You guys are going, well, you're wondering what the hell is he talking about right now? I have a point to this, but I hear Iron Maiden tunes that are like broken down into like really nice, fluid, like airy acoustic, like almost flamenco, almost like Latin style. Murders in the Rue Morgue or Flight of Icarus or something like that, right? And I listen to it and I go, wow, that's pretty good. But then you get into like an elevator, or then you get into like maybe you're at a restaurant or something, and in the overhead you kind of hear this Muzak version of some like really just cranking metal song, and you're like, what did they do to my song? What did they do to the energy of that song, right? And so my point is this, is like when I hear people in the Manosphere or in the red, who want to be in the red pill, and they start referring to terminology that by any other name is alpha, beta, blue pill, red pill, purple pill, that pill, whatever pill, hypergamy, let's see, the soulmate myth, one-itis. Like nobody calls it one-itis anymore. One-itis is almost like a 2002 term. I don't know what to really call it right now. When I see it, when somebody hits me up and I can see that they're suffering from one-itis, I'll call it out as one-itis, and people will be like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I'll point it out, right? Well, the same thing is true when I talk about like alpha. An alpha guy is essentially what I think a lot of people want to refer to as a high-value guy. Right? So what is high value? So before I went and started digging into this topic today, I started looking at, I always do my homework before I do these shows. And I was looking at, clearly, Kevin Samuels talks about the high value guy. And then of course everybody jumps on, right? If that's what's trending, if that's what's going to get eyes on the screen, then people start talking about that. That guy from Self-Developed has one. Oh God, what is that? I forget the name of the chick. There's a woman, a female dating coach / relationship expert, whatever, again, getting into sort of like the dating expert niche grift, whatever you want to call it. And of course, she's got one. The high value man is this. The high value man is that. Let me tell you what the high value man is, right? And it used to be, I can remember when we would have discussions about what makes a guy alpha and what makes a guy beta. If you've read my book, you already know what I'm going to say is, alpha is a mindset. It is not a demographic. Okay. There are guys who are sort of dark triad alphas. There's the Superman alphas and there's the Batman alphas. There is the Captain America alphas and there is the Iron Man alphas. There are the guys who just sort of live by their own rules. There's the James Dean alphas, right? And then there's the, Jimmy Stewart, Jimmy Stewart, right? There's that guy who's kind of like the good guy. Like he's responsible, but he's an alpha and people respect him. People admire him. He's a bit more sacrificial than the James Dean style alpha. But aren't they both high value guys? Aren't they both the guys that command attention, command respect, command admiration? We look at that guy and we go, that guy has respectability. Like what makes him respectable? And so if we look at a guy like, if we look at, I'm going to say Corey Worthington, but like if you look at like Jeff Spicoli, right, from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, today is going to be full of 80s references, 80s movie and 80s music references today. But if you look at those, if you look at a Jeff Spicoli, right, you look at the surfer guy who sort of lives on his own terms, and maybe he's a burnout, maybe he smokes a lot of weed, and maybe he's not like the guy that you would look to for like philosophical, discussions. Maybe he's a pothead philosopher, right? You're not looking for a deep conversation, but the dude is high value in that he has got maybe a skill, or he's got some kind of gravitas about him. He certainly has enough social intelligence that women want to bang him and other men want to be him to some degree. I'm not saying every guy does. Or certainly at that particular age, maybe, right? People got really mad at me when I used Corey Worthington, and go look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. When you look at like a Corey Worthington style alpha, a guy who is an alpha Buddha, like he's so alpha, he doesn't know that he's alpha. He is so high value, it doesn't occur to him to try to refine it or to develop it. It just is, right? It's like a Zen alphaness. It's just you are alpha. You are the game. You are, this is who you are, and you don't think about it. You're oblivious to anything else except for just living in the moment and being what you were born to be, right? You're the natural, whether that's true or that's not. So there's that alpha. There's that high value guy. Now, is it high value? Like I look at the stuff like, and that's not just Kevin Samuels, but there's a guy from like self-development, some of these. I don't even know the dude's name, to be honest with you. But when I look at that, it's usually, here's the high value guy has mental point of origin, right? Which I would agree with. I would say that would be the necessary starting point to be sort of high value. But I think that a lot of people get carried away with it's not even actually they don't even call it mental point of origin. They call it, make yourself first. Think of you first. Be a little more selfish, like screw you. I'm on my own mission right now. And again, something Royce's talked about for a very long time. If you don't know who Royce is, go look up heartiste.org. But when I'm talking about stuff like the high value guy, I try to look at things in totality. So every time I'm talking about certain, the Manosphere, as you probably know, is full of buzzwords. It's full of jingoisms. There's your vocabulary word for the day. Go look up jingoism. It's full of vernacular. It's full of acronyms. Like, what is AFC, right? What is RP, red pill? What is alpha, AFBB? I'll let you guys go look that one up because we're not at the half-hour mark yet. I can't swear until the 30 minutes goes off on the timer here. So what does that mean? What does high value even mean to anybody right now? Because to me, like I wrote about this. I've written about what we would now call the high value guy, right? That's the Muzak. That's the to say high value dude to me, or high value guy to me, high value man to me is an alpha male. That's the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. Other women look up to that guy. That guy has almost automatic social proof and almost automatic pre-selection. That's the dude. When you go and you look at the every damn girl on Fresh and Fit, and I don't care how old they are, I don't care how ugly they are, how hot they are, they all have the same prerequisites, the same criteria for a guy that is going to be a good long-term match for them. And I hate it when we ask questions like, what do you look for in a guy? Because I've heard that question since I was 12 years old back in the 80s. Yeah, again, 80s reference, right? I've been hearing that forever. And it's like, well, what do you want in a guy? What do women really want? And of course, you know what the answer to that is. Who cares, right? That's what the Alpha Buddha would say. Why are we having this conversation? Let's go surf. Let's go do what we're going to go do, right? Let's go to the gun range. Let's go shooting. Let's go to the club. Let's go, do cool things. Let's go jump on my sled, which I did for the last time of the season. But let's go do something. You're preoccupied with your mission. And it's not even so much mission. It's just like there's experience to be had, right? But it's like what is it that makes that guy high value? Because if you listen to a guy like Kevin Samuels, it's you got to dress right, you got to make at least $10,000 a month in a major metropolitan city, and it comes down to a lot of the stuff that I see. And I don't want to just pick on him because there's a lot of other guys that are saying pretty much the same thing. And they tend to look at just the beta bucks side of hypergamy. So the high value guy is the guy who's making all kinds of money. He's on his point and he's on his mission and he's a good maybe he's Superman, right? Maybe he's Captain America. He's not quite Iron Man, but maybe you are Iron Man. Maybe you've got enough money to Iron Man and Batman still were independently wealthy, right? I mean, again, we're working on archetypes here. I know you're not actually Iron Man or Batman. I hope you don't think you are. But those are the archetypes, the alpha archetypes. When I listen to somebody like Jordan Peterson and he talks about hypergamy, he only talks about one side of it. And when I get into the Tim Pool video here today with what's her name, Nakatomi, what's her name, Nakatomi, she is going to only focus on one side of hypergamy. That's the beta buck side. What serves women's long-term interests the best? That's what the high value guy is, right? He's the guy with lots of money. He dresses nice. He's on point. He's got, his value is locked up in whatever his socioeconomic status is and what his provision, like the 3 Ps, provisioning, protection, and parental investment. And hold on one second because Mr. is hitting me up. Okay. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Mr. By Mr. I mean my good friend, Jonathan. John, I'm in the middle of this whole show and you're interrupting me right now. Okay, he's coming. He's on his way. Good. John's on his way. Hooray. Take your time, man. Let me get to this real quick. Is it beta/cringe for a man to kneel when he proposes marriage to his woman? Why are you proposing marriage? Especially in this day and age, marriage should not be something that is like ritualized. Certainly a proposal isn't something that ought to be ritualized. If you want to be romantic, there's ways to be romantic. But the thing is if you are that guy, I will explain to you exactly how that works. If you are the guy that women want, a woman wants to be on point with you. She wants to be she's the ride or die girl, right? She wants to have your babies. She wants to marry you. She does not just want to get married. She does not just want to have kids because it's time for me to have kids now. There's a difference between I want to have your babies and I need to have kids because, the clock's ticking, big bucko, right? That is, again, the funny shit, this dovetails nicely into the topic today, is that's the beta buck side of hypergamy. It's not the alpha seed side. It's not the short-term sexual. It's not the breeding need side. And that's the side that you want to get on, because if I'm going to talk about like high-value guys, that's going to be what I focus on. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have all of those things. I'm not saying you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be on point with your style, be on point with your game, be on point with your social intelligence, be on point with your certainly with game, but like with understanding, human nature, but female's nature, your own nature. That I think also contributes to all of that. Do you need to be number one in your life? Yeah, but you need to also make sure that I need to be number one, or I need to be more self-important. That needs to originate not from this obligation to yourself. It needs to originate from a change that happens in your head. So when you get down on one knee and you're going to propose to that girl, that needs to come as sort of a last resort. Monogamy today in 2021, marriage most definitely, but monogamy, like if you're looking into just like a long-term relationship, and I don't care what country you live in right now, that needs to be something that is a natural fluid motion into it. Like it's inevitable. It's just something that happens. It's a byproduct of your game. Long-term relationship should be a byproduct. Monogamy should be a byproduct of your freaking bulletproof game. Red Pill Mike, thank you for that. What Jefferson was saying was, hey, when we left this England place because it was a bogus and we did, okay, we're doing Spicoli. What Jefferson was saying was, hey, when we left this England place, it was bogus. And we don't get some cool rules ourselves pronto, we'll just be bogus too. Hey, keep changing men's lives. Yeah, thanks very much. Faster than a laser, faster than a laser bullet, and louder than an atom bomb. Yes, I'll give you the horns. There you go. There's your horns. Red Pill Mike is always knows the right things to say. So I'm going to talk about this a little. We're going to dig. I was kind of waiting for John to get on here too, but we're going to dig into. And there he is, as I live and breathe. Hey, man.
Hey, good.
You awake? I tried to give you an extra hour.
Yeah, no, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Hang on. There's probably some echo. Give me a second. I got to turn the echo cancellation. There we go. Much better.
All right. Yeah, there
How
it
you
goes.
feeling, man? How you feeling?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Just another day.
How was Dude Party? I saw you like we're doing a lot of video on Dude Party.
Yeah, we were just talking about we did a cover on the Yuri Bezmenov video,
Mm-hmm.
which was like, the video talking about the ideological subversion that the Soviets were planning to do with America, and just talking about
China.
kind of like that, just kind of talking about how like America's just not looking like not on necessarily the healthiest track right now.
It's not looking like it used to. I will say.
Not at all.
People ask me about that. Like they were like, if you moved to a different country, Rollo, where would you go? I think I would go to Panama, to be honest with you. I would still go to Panama.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Because it's still on the US dollar, but at least I know what I'm getting into when I go down there. I've got there's like 2 distilleries down there that I've worked with for a long time. And of the countries that I've gone to, that's been the nicest one, at least as far as where I've been. But that might be in the books at some point, but we'll see. So what is a high value man to you? I know the reason why I wanted you on here, of course, is because you've got your masculine empowerment network thing coming up too. But like, I want to, as always, whenever, right? Remember when we were doing body language mastery, and I told you I need to have you on here, and I'm going, before I endorse any of your programs, I always have to have you on here so that I can discuss it, and so people can sort of get a good rounded version of like what you're going to be offering and what the whole thing's about. And I'm not above putting you on the point for all this, so that's why I titled today's show like, what makes for a high value guy? Because what I've been saying up to this point right now is I think that a lot of guys who use that terminology, it's almost like they want to refer to it as alpha, but alpha has like, it has the Manosphere stink on it, right? It has red pill stink on it. So we can't call it alpha. So we got to find out something, but there still needs to be a term. So let's call it high value man. And to me, that's not kind of sounds like the high quality woman, which to me is really just kind of like an ideal. And I've done actual shows on like full shows and full essays, of course, about like the sort of idealism that surrounds high quality women. And I think that maybe we're leaning a little bit over into that right now, because when I hear people describe it, and I was saying before you came on here, is I did a little bit of homework for this video before we came on. And a lot of people have different opinions of that. Like if you listen to Kevin Samuels will say, well, you got to make $10,000 a month. You got to be on your game. You got to have like multiple streams of income and everything. And it's very much the sort of financial economic side of things. And to me, that's the beta buck side of hypergamy. It's not so much like get your ass in the gym, learn game, understand. And it's almost like a reliance on just the sort of, what we talk about, like, what is it? Make money, make muscles and learn game. Those things. It's almost like it's stuck on make money. Like that's like your game sort of subsists on just the economic side of it, because if you have that, then everything else falls in line. And to me, that is evidence of a transactional mindset when it comes to sex, when it comes to that kind of thing. So what do you think? I mean, do you see this happening, or what do you think like a high value guy is? And is it that alpha ideal, or is it something else?
I mean, I ultimately just think a high value guy is a guy that, for one, gets sex from multiple women at ease without having to pay for it. But, that women are just giving it away because of the character of the guy, and, the character talking about the way he looks, the way he talks, the way he acts, how he's treated, his status, all of these things, right? I think that right there is a pretty solid indicator of a high value guy. I mean, it's pretty cliche to say, but the guy that girls want to sleep with and that other guys want to be, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, we have this unhealthy obsession right now with clout and fame in the West. Like everybody thinks like just being famous is gonna fix everything. And just because a guy's famous, he has he's excuse me, he's high value or something like that, right? But I think that ultimately boils down to, is he having a lot of sex with a bunch of different women, and is he in the driver's seat of the relationship? Like he's
Right.
not being bossed around, whatever. Like I put this video up on my Instagram the other day, and it's like this famous chick calling up an athlete, like cussing him out and saying like, "Where the f are you? You know, you're supposed to be at your son's effing birthday party and you should be here right now. What the f kind of father are you?" And like the dude's famous. Like I'm not even famous. I don't let chicks talk to me like that. And this guy's literally like famous, and he's getting talked to like this, like live on Twitch to top it all off. So I think that's just my definition of being a high value guy.
I was just kind of, I don't know. I'll chime in, or I'll like listen in or watch Fresh and Fit occasionally when they have like, 10 or 12 girls on the show, right? And they all tend to say the same kinds of things. Like, I'm looking for a guy who's got the bag, right? I'm looking for the guy who's on point with his money, and he's making more than, like, they're talking about guys that like make six figures. Like every girl on that show deserves a guy who makes six figures, unless she's like some, country girl who just happened to, fall into Miami just last week kind of thing. But, then they'll say, well, but if the guy's nice, and if he, he dresses nicely, and he's, brings me flowers on the first date or something like that, then I don't care if he makes $50,000 a year, which is, if you know anything about like the average income for the, people in the United States, it's something like $46,000. And that's like for a single person. I think for couples, it might be like 52 or something. But there's always, it always hits me is that, I think women are innately or instinctively aware of hypergamy, right? I think that they always know that there's the hot guy in the foam cannon party, everybody drink. And then there's the guy who's got his money together, and they're looking for, I think what women are really kind of looking for these days is they want to say, I'm looking for the complete package, right? They want the guy who's the hottest dude that they can possibly get, who actually hotter than they deserve. Let's put it that way. Hotter than they should be able to attract, and richer than they should be able to attract, but having both of those qualities at the same time. That's the guy, of course, that other women want to bang and other men want to be, right? For various reasons. And I think that when you ask a woman, like, what are you looking for? What do you want? Whenever it comes down to like the long-term, when they have to think about it, when you put them on the spot, when you're asking them for answers, like to give you words, put it into words, that's what they usually default to. They default to like, what's good? First of all, what's the right thing to say? They're not going to say, I want a hot guy. I don't care if he's poor. I just want to bang him. I can experience that, in Hollywood in 1988, 89 or whatever. And I can form my opinions and form my, based on my observations as to what, what's going, female nature there. But you have to take that with a grain of salt. Like I said, it's the medium is the message. Right. But is the high value guy just the guy that has all of that together?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally, yeah. Like if you really want to look at like, the apex example, would be like, some like a red pilled celebrity, right? A guy who just understands, like, I would go as far as say, like, for example, Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Like that's an ultra high level guy, right? Girl turns 25, see you later, sweetheart. You know what I mean? Like he's
cycles them out.
Yeah, just got a revolving door. But yeah, that's what a high value guy would be on like on just like a normie kind of level. But then there's deeper things too. There's like, for me too, I think a man who's a high value man, I would just think a guy who is doing what he wants to do when he wants to do it with no, how can I say, no consequences to his life. If like, he were to take some time off, like for example, Rich Cooper, right? Like He doesn't have to go ask anybody for a paycheck. He doesn't have to go ask anybody for time off. You know, he doesn't have to go ask his wife if it's okay to go buy his McLaren. None of that stuff, right?
Mhm.
He is his own man, and he's made his own wealth by himself.
Mhm.
And so like that is like, that would be like one example of a high value guy. And then
Mhm.
there's other people like, for example, Troy, right? Troy is not as rich as Rich, but Troy is still very financially well off and doesn't work for anybody, lives his own life, still playing the game. I think he's like 47 years old. I think him and Rich are the same age.
Mhm.
And just nobody tells him what to do, and he has young girlfriends, and he's just enjoying his life as well. So it could vary like along a spectrum to an extent. But I think ultimately a high value guy is a guy that kind of does what he wants when he wants to do it,
Mhm.
and really isn't like held down by anybody's expectations or beliefs. Like, because that's what happens when you get involved with chicks, right? When you get involved with women, like they they laughably start making demands of you when they're pretty much in a position of bringing nothing to the table other than sex. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But guys, that's the power of women over our blue pill guys, is like the fear of losing the woman, right? The fear of, oh my god, this coveted vagina is going to escape me, and then I'm going to be forever sexless again. And it's kind of like a scarcity mindset.
Mhm.
So I think a guy who just is aware that he can just, he has enough game that he can just get whatever chick he wants. I think that also is a very high value character indeed.
Mhm. Do you think every guy has a potential to be high value, or let's just say higher value?
I think everybody has the potential to be higher value, especially now with the average person being extremely low value. I mean,
Mhm.
you're in your early 50s, and so that like the average American in the 80s was way tougher than the average, safe space
Testosterone
need.
levels were much higher then too.
Yeah, the guy that needs a safe space and all that stuff. So, I just see it as just, a big drop in the competition. Really, give me 1 second. I gotta adjust something here. Give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go right ahead. I'm gonna swing. Actually, let me put me up here for a second. Asanji, actually, I'll answer your thing right here, Asanji. I know you read The Appearance of Power, yes, by Tanner Guzzi. I actually have it it's in my bookcase right now. He talks about three high value males: the savage, Jack Donovan; the refined, mafia fathers. I don't know how that's refined, and rigid like rock stars and John. Well, I don't. That's hard to say. You have to remember that that's the appearance of power. That's not necessarily, intrinsic, real, actionable power. Okay. If you've read my book, but actually, I think it's in the first book. Actually, is I talk about that. I have a chapter in there called "Truth to Power," and I think a lot of people think of power in terms of like how they can affect other people's lives, like the control that they have over other people's lives. And I think that that's why power gets a bad name. So when you read 48 Laws of Power, when that book first came out back in like 1998, 99, somewhere around there, people thought it was the evil book. They thought it was like, especially the religious, like what fascinates me right now is 48 Laws of Power has really kind of come into its own, and even tradcons and even like really kind of dyed in the wool evangelical Christians still read this book and they look at it and they go, yeah, he's right about this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's no longer an evil book. It was something. In fact, I would almost argue that parts of 48 Laws of Power have been integrated into being what I've called Christian kosher in this book right here, in religion, because the ideas are now better. First of all, they're better understood, and then second of all, enough guys have been reading that book and getting into it, and they understand it, and it's been digested, and it's sort of matured into what we, what even the Manosphere, refers to as, it's one of the books that it would be on the top 3 books of my book list, put it that way. And so when we look at power, we tend to look at it as an exercise of ill will. It's tyranny. It's powerful. It's evil. To have a power over something is to be evil. And in the very introduction of that book, it's not about It's not about control. It's about controlling your life. And that's what I said in my chapter of my book, is that real, true, actionable power is not about how much you can exercise over other people or using it like a tyrant. It's real, true power comes from the ability to make decisions for yourself. How powerful are you depends on the choices that you can make as a person. There's nothing more powerful than the guy who has nothing left to lose, right? I mean, that's what that used to be sort of like the definition of courage, right? Or bravery. It's like, I got nothing to lose, so why not just go for it, right? I'll take down, I know I'm going to die, so how many of these sons of bitches can I take with me? That's a power. And it's not about like true, real actionable power is about the degree of control you have over yourself, not necessarily that you have over other people. Now, is that an extension of power? Yeah, because if what you want to do for your life includes the cooperation of other people, then yeah, you probably have a power over that other person. But what are you ultimately doing with that power? You're exercising your will. So how can you exercise your will? So the appearance of power is not necessarily actionable, actual power. So when I read Tanner Guzzi's stuff, or for that matter, if I read or I listen to Vox Day when he talks about sociosexual hierarchies, which one's more powerful? The alpha male, the beta male, the delta male, the gamma male, the omega, the sigma? Who's got the most power? Well, it's really the guy who is exercising his will in the way that he wants to. And just like where'd you go? There. Just like John was saying, is putting what did you say? You said something about like Troy and Rich when they were saying, well, these are guys who can do things for themselves, and their success or their failure is really on them. It's not on other people. And that was something I had to learn like later on in life, like I think in my early 40s or so, when I finally got out of the mentality of, okay, I'm going to work for this company and then my dreams will come true because then I'll rise to this position and I'll have authority in this company. But the thing is you never have total authority when you're working for somebody else, because your job and your livelihood and your well-being and your family's well-being is all dependent on the decisions of somebody who probably does not have your best interests in mind. They have their own best interests in mind, and they will throw you under the bus as soon as look at you or smile at you, because you are a means to an end to them. And even in I think it's like the second or third law of 48 Laws of Power is never put too much trust in friends. And it's always better to, if you're going to have a business associate, if you're going to have a personal partner or whatever, you're going to go into business with somebody, you need a business partner, not a friend. Somebody who's on board with your mission and you guys are doing it. It's great if you can be friends, but that's not what you're looking for. You still have to be amiable with that guy and everything else. But more importantly, I forget who said this, but it's like the best friendships are based on mutual need, are based on mutual a mutual goal. Yeah, a mutual cooperation of some sorts. Like again, it's like cardinal rule of relationships, but it's the best friendships are dependent upon whatever those two have as a mutual goal. And I think that when we're looking at somebody like Rich, or we're looking at somebody like Troy, for example, they are, I don't say they're the masters of their own destiny. It's not so much that, it's that their success, the maintenance of their success is all dependent on them. And that's where if you want to know what a high value guy is, at least as far as that side of the equation is concerned, I think it's the guys who understand, first of all, they understand their own intrinsic value to women and to themselves and to other people, but also that their decisions are, it might affect other people, but those decisions are their own, meaning that they're not forced upon them. It's not, they don't have to move to a different state or a different country or different head. Like I had to do that. I had to move from Reno to Orlando because the import exporter I was working with wanted to relocate their headquarters to Orlando. That was a good move, but I would never have said, I think I want to move to Orlando. That's a different dynamic. That's power, right? That's the guy who's high value enough. Right now, a lot of guys are saying this, and I think you probably have said this too, is you're in Japan. You don't have to be in Japan. You could be wherever the hell you want to be and do what you want to do. Japan happens to be where you like to be the most. Yeah. Aaron Clary has moved to a different state, and I'm not going to say which one, but he's there. He doesn't have to be in the place he's in. He can be, like I was just joking around a minute ago. I want to move to Panama. I can do this show from Panama, as long as I've got a high-speed internet connection, everything else stays in place. I'm still even using the US dollar, so it kind of boils down to, are you sort of the captain of your own ship, or are you just sort of playing catch up? Because I think at least 80%, maybe even 90% of guys today are not powerful in the sense that they are affecting, they have less control over what it is that they want to do, like where they want to go and what they want to do in life.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen a big shift in that, especially with the recent global events. I mean, I didn't have much faith in humanity before, and now I absolutely have zero, just to see how, on a global perspective, the majority of people just rolled over and took this. Nobody. It took people over a year to get together and fight back. And now people are starting to fight back a little bit, after people are spontaneously combusting from taking the vaccine and, getting fat from being locked up in their homes. I just think why would you not want to be your own man? Why would you not want to be living life on your own terms? Isn't that why we all took the red pill? We all took the red pill because we came to a point in our life where we were hurt by seeking the blue pill ideal of love, right? Because you know what I mean? We were seeking the kind of like, I want this blue pill ideal. And we all came to the realization through pain. And we continue to gravitate towards the red pill because it was truth. And the people who are here are addicted to the truth, to be quite honest. Like, come back and watch this stuff is like almost a form of like a masochistic kind of way of living if you don't if you really don't believe in this stuff. But a lot of the guys here truly believe in it, and they want more and more and more truth. And so one thing is this, right? I've noticed this pattern with guys that I deem high value. And high value guys, they figure out the red pill. They go through what I call the red pill gluttony stage, and which is they have sex with tons and tons and tons of girls. Like, the red pill gluttony stage comes right after the red pill awakening. And so you red pill awake, you learn to maximize your game. And then you go through, if you're lucky enough and you do the work, you go through the red pill gluttony stage, which is like, you kind of like, you overdose on the cheat codes of the system, if you will, right? And you just consume, and you have sex with girl after girl after girl after girl. And that lasts for like anywhere between 2 to 5 years. And then after that, these guys say, well, I have such freedom in my sex life. And if the freedom kind of like infects their mind, right? And it starts to trickle over into other areas. Like, to think like, well, I could, pretty much have the girl that I want. Why can I not like have the job that I want? Why can I not have the body that I want? Wait, why can't I just decide to work from my laptop? Or why can't I start my own business? And the guys who are extremely high level and extremely red pilled, they take it to that next level. That would be the natural progression of things. Some guys happen to be, like, for example, Rich, he did it backwards, right? Like, he became financially red pilled, and then he got like, sexually dynamics red pilled. But what I noticed is, like, for me especially, is like, I figured out the women thing very early. I went on a binge, and then I was like, well, now I want to be like rich. Now I want to be and then I became rich, and I was like, wait, I want to be rich and free. And then now I'm rich and free. And then I was like, now I want to be like ultra wealthy and free. And so that's how this stage has become for me. Like, truly, I've mastered women to the extent like I truly don't value sex. Like, I don't value it. I don't value women, especially because I live in a nation where like there's like literally hundreds of like, I would say tens of millions of beautiful women all over this country. And I don't like necessarily have like this scarcity mindset or this thirsty like beggar's mindset that a lot of guys have. And that's because, I already handled that part of my life, and now I'm 35. I'm moving on to bigger and better things, like, having big wealth, generational wealth. And,
Mhm.
you know, on top of that, teaching the guys in my community what I've learned as well. And so I think that's like the kind of the natural progression of the high value man from taking the red pill, in my opinion.
I think so too. I can remember back in, gosh, I think I would have been like my early 40s somewhere. I think I was definitely in Florida by that time. And I can remember going from the mentality, like I have a completely different understanding of like how money works now, and like how I am. Like I got to a point that probably Rich got to before me, but I was working in the liquor industry for a long time. I was working in the gaming, and I worked for casinos for a long time. I did promotions for them, and I thought about this, and I can remember being. You tell you what's funny. I can remember being an art director at like some big name casinos here. And that I also was also by default, I was the art director for other sister properties, because they said, hey, this sucker will work for, you know, $50,000 a month or $50,000 a year. Let's put him in, we need him to, you know, take up the brand management for this other casino that's in Louisiana or you know, Greenville or whatever. And so now they're getting twice the bargain for, you know, for the same price. And I've got twice the responsibilities. And when your head is in the clouds and you're thinking, well, I'm very important, I'm the art director here, and you know, I have authority over these two properties, not just one, but it's all these. And it's like, no, what they're doing is they're sort of like, they're using that expectation or that idea that you have some sort of prestige. Like, we're going to make you the director of both these properties. It's like, for the same amount of money, right? You're not earning anything like monetarily, like if you quantify the value of that position, I'm twice as valuable to this guy for the same price. But they're depending on your mentality of, oh, I'm important. Oh, I've got authority, which you really don't, but I have authority. I have prestige. I'm in control. I'm the one who's responsible for both these properties. He's like, yeah, for half the price.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
You really think about that. And it took a while for me to sort of get my head out of thinking like, to have prestige, to have like to have esteem for yourself or status. Like we always talk about like looks, money, and status. If that status is derived from someone else, especially if that person, that someone else is also your source of your well-being, your financial success, everything else, that status accounts for shit. Yeah. It doesn't account for anything at that point. So when people say, well, you know, looks, money, status, okay, where does your status come from? Does it come from your ability to be the source of your own success? Or is that source of your own success and thus your status, is that originating from someone else whose interests you happen to be serving at that time? That, to me, that's not status. To me, that slavery is what that ends up being.
It's totally funny. The artist formerly known as Miss MLD, she was she at one time when we were together, she got promoted, and like the boss was like, oh, guess what? Like the other guy quit, and so now we promoted you. You're chief designer. And she hit me up. She's like, oh my God, I'm chief designer. And she's like, I have so much more responsibility. And I was like, damn, that sucks. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, you didn't get any more increase in your salary, right? He was like, no. He bought me a Celine bag though. And the Celine bag. You see, it's like so sad, right? Isn't it?
It's easy. Like it's like, it's shiny keys, you know, like when a little baby, you're trying to like, look over here, ching, 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 ching. You know, you're trying to get them to look at the shiny keys. There's the shiny keys, is this bag right here.
And so they got her a Celine bag that was like $1,500, $2,000, whatever. And then she went out to dinner, and then she's like, you know, I just wanted you to be happy for me, and I work so hard, and I got this promotion. I said, babe, like I understand, but but you're being played. And then let alone come to me 3 months later. She's like, oh my God, you're so right. I hate this guy. Should I buy more Ethereum? Should I buy more Bitcoin?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was like in 2019, right? And then I was like, yeah.
You know, I'm going to throw this up here because this is pertinent to our discussion here. 68.2%. I don't know what that means. Do you believe alpha men can hold frame on a woman who makes more than him? If so, why is money so important?
So look, dude, like I'll say this, like, you know, I'm just gonna do a little protect us from the YouTube overlords over here first. But like honestly, I in my heart of hearts, I look down on every woman. I don't care if she's like a doctor. I don't care if she's an astronaut. I don't care. I look at her, I'm like, you're a woman. Like, I'm better than you. And like, people want to say like, oh, that's internalized misogyny, whatever. But that's just like the mindset that I have. So I don't really covet like, oh, a woman makes more than me. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm the man and I'm better than you. I mean, mainly because I am a man, but like money is look, show me a rich woman of her own volition and I'll show you somebody extremely miserable and most likely going to be single for the rest of her life. Okay.
I was telling, I had an interview with George Gammon like a week ago, Monday. And if you want to see, actually, I'm surprised it hasn't gone viral because a lot of people were commenting on it and they really liked that video. But and I had no idea he had such a red pill following. But we talked about exactly this, which is making money and having not so much looking down on chicks so much, but like as in well, what was I telling? Oh, it was I mentioned this. There's a Forbes study, or is a Forbes article. Maybe it was Morgan Stanley. I can't remember, but it was like the 60 richest women in the world. And of the 60, all of them except for 4 had made their money in a divorce or they inherited it. Yep. And they inherited the company and now they're a part. And then we want to like lift them up and glorify them for all, but they're not self-made bazillionaires or however much money that they made, right? It was because they cashed in on a ex-husband, or they cashed in because daddy had the business before they did. And now they're making it work kind of thing. Only 4 of them were actually self-made millionaires.
Yeah, like I think isn't like Christine Walton on the top of that list? Like,
I think so.
One of the Walmart heirs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, like you have to think larger too, because I think some guy is like in the chat. He was saying, he said something. This is really really smart. This guy Irish Alpha 82 said, in today's day and age, women, they care more about status than money right now when it comes to their guy, which is 1,000% true. Here's like a cheat code for all you guys out there. If you right now as a man can be Instagrammable is what I call it. Like if a girl can put you on her Instagram and make herself look better by being associated with you, if she could put you on TikTok, if she could put you on Instagram, if she could put you on one of these social media platforms and make herself look better, that in itself is endless clout and endless leverage in the sexual marketplace. I have a friend here, right? And he's this kid that I work out with. And, he's a good looking kid. He's jacked. He's got big, thick head hair. And this Japanese chick that he's dating, right? Just like some straggler he met off of Bumble. And she's cute for sure, but she is just enamored with him because he's super photogenic and like so very Instagrammable. She put his photo and the video of them, like he brought her some flowers and they went on a date, and he like was wearing a suit, whatever. She put it on TikTok, put some like fancy words and fancy like music over it, and had like 150,000 organic views in like less than 24 hours. And now she is just like doubly in love with him. To top it off, what's so funny is just by him being in that TikTok video with her, he has so many girls in his DMs now, like just hitting him up. What you did was so sweet. Where can I meet a guy like you? From like complete random strangers on the internet as well. So like we live in this like kind of like social media era, right, where like you really don't necessarily have to make it. You just have to look like you've made it. And that means, being good looking, having good muscular body, and being, like I said, very Instagrammable. A lot of like young people don't, a lot of the older guys, like, 30 and up crowd don't really get it. They don't really understand the whole, like, you got to be Instagrammable. That's why, like, Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, all these guys, they're so really like heavily invested in their Instagram because they know that it's like, it's a clout machine. It's a status machine. Instagram is now a doorway of reality for a lot of people. And that's why you see a lot of people getting scammed into like Ponzi schemes or MLMs, because they see this guy's, well, didn't you see him on Instagram? He was standing in front of a Ferrari. And so
Right.
because he was standing in front of the Ferrari, or like, the obsession people have with receipts, right? Like, oh, well, he was in a nightclub and he had his arm around this beautiful girl. They must have gone home and had sex together. They must have done that. And so that's how that's like a double-edged sword of how you can use it with today's day and age. Like, can you be Instagrammable? Are you good looking enough? Are you well dressed enough that you have good presence on social media? Or at the same time, like, be careful, because just this person is dressed well, has these pictures of him standing in front of supercars and all these things. That doesn't necessarily mean that this guy is really a high value man, or a high value person, or doing what he says he can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was actually, while you were talking, I'm looking up that picture of Andrew Tate and Michaela Peterson. What people thought, and there's actually several of them, by the way. There's the one that everybody probably recognizes, and then there's the other ones. And this was from back in like 2018, I think it was 2018, 2019. And of course, I had him on my show back then, and it was like, the first thing anybody wants to talk about is, what happened? Is he banging Michaela? And he was just really cagey and didn't want to say nothing about it. But I think he knew damn well it was all brand management is what it is. You have to be your own PR agent right now. And I think that's funny. I talked about this on this show last week, is that dating has become a form of PR. And you're your own PR agent right now. I don't care if all you're putting is like little cat and dog pictures on your Instagram. That says something about you. People will look for your Instagram, or they'll look for like, what is your online persona? And even if you are not managing it, it's still that's where you're at. You're right. We're all about the perception right now. And if you're not managing it, someone else is going to manage it for you, or they're going to come in and they're going to say, oh, he's just about his greyhounds and his snowmobiles, right? Honestly, and people want to say, well, Rollo's stuck in his ways. He's an old guy. It's like, no. I talked to Fresh from Fresh and Fit when I was out there a couple times in Miami, and he was telling me, he says, you got to manage your Instagram. And so I started taking a little bit more control over it and started like looking at things and saying, okay, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to put this on there, because I've only really been using it as sort of like a personal thing. Yeah. But now it's like, now I'm putting stuff out there, and it's not so much about just dog pictures anymore. So you have to, I think, and maybe like, there's a lot of people who are going to say, well, that's really kind of dehumanizing. Or if you're still stuck in that blue pill mentality, you don't understand. Or if you're not dating, right? If you got a girlfriend, or you got a wife, or you're kind of like out of the game, you don't realize just how important those things are. It took Myron to tell me, and you, by the way, to tell me, that although the red pill is still, like, in theory, it's still very valuable and still very true, but in context, you have to look at it and in terms of Instagram, in like, what's the perception your public persona is looking at, like, right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I see some people agreeing with me, but I see more people disagreeing with me, and like, to be honest with you, like, these people don't seem to understand. If you want to get the top level hot girls right now, and you don't have a solid Instagram profile, you're not getting in. You're not getting into the sexy cool club.
You don't get in the club. Yeah, there's no sex in the champagne room for you.
No. Listen, a high quality Instagram is your ticket into the sexy cool club. It's like your business card or your resume. And if you don't have a good one, you're not getting in. You're not getting in whatsoever. A blue check mark right now in Instagram is like, forget about it. If you have that, do you understand? Girls will go out of their way just to spend time with you, even if you shortchange it and you just pay like 15 grand to somebody at Instagram and you get them to give you the blue check mark. People do that right now. There's an inside hustle on Instagram, the Instagram black market, if you will. And there's people who have influence within Instagram that will sell you like $15,000 to $25,000 to get you a blue check mark, to get
a verification. Yeah.
Yep. And people pay for that because we're in the attention economy. And to top it off, man, look, girls' egos are insatiable. So again, if she can be like, oh my God, I'm hanging out with hot dude life, blue check mark, she's gonna be like, well, he's like, he's like famous guy. And he has like a YouTube channel and he lives in this nice, high rise apartment or whatever. That right there is all the status you need in order for these girls to, they'll just do the work for you. Because once you're like I said, once you're Instagrammable right now, man, it's a new form of being a high value man. You don't necessarily even need to be high value in real life. As long as you have this like digital high value, I mean, it's forget about it. You can get so many chicks.
Yeah, it's the appearance. Exactly. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this with you. I think, of course, the Andy Warhol quote, which is, in the future, everybody will be famous for 15 minutes kind of thing. And now I'm seeing that, and it's actually kind of coming true. But I think what in the past, at least for my generation, and maybe even a little bit of the millennial generation, to be a celebrity, right? To be famous in some way, you had to have something that you were famous for, right? If you were Eddie Van Halen, you could play guitar better than anybody else. You're the guitarist for Van Halen, right? If you were Michael Jordan, you were the MVP, or you were Michael Jordan. Let's just say a basketball, right? If you were an athlete, if you were an actor, just name something that you could be in some way famous for. That was very rare opportunities. Like that was like if you wanted to a brush with fame was just sort of you being an extra on the set of a very famous actor or something like that. It's very similar to that now, and we can monetize that and we can make that into something like, because if you got a blue check mark, or you could be like, there's some people that I've never even heard of who are like famous right now. Yep. And I joke about this all the time. It's like, I'm only popular on the internet, right?
Yep.
Nobody recognizes me I hope, I don't know. Nobody's come up to me at the gym and said, hey, aren't you Rollo Tomassi? Nobody said that to me yet. I know Donovan gets this. I know you would get this if you were walking around, somewhere like if you were in Miami, for instance. I know for a fact that like Myron and Fresh get recognized down in Brickell, right? Yep. I know that, but it's like it's almost like it's like this low level fame that people want to be associated with, because you can't manufacture that with a big name actor. You can't manufacture that with a rock star unless you're right there at the show and they invited you backstage because they thought you were cute, kind of thing. And then maybe you can do that. So we have to look for especially women have to look for the guys who are just like, they're not like, A-list famous, but they might be A- list famous or like B+ list famous. And that's enough to get clout. It's enough to at least increase, as far as if you're an influencer and you make money off of being like, and you're a woman, let's say, and you make money off of Twitch, or you make money off of Instagram, or you make money off of like reviewing handbags, or what is it? Have you ever seen this? It's called Try On Haul. Have you seen those videos? Look up Try On Haul on YouTube. And it's just like they're just these clout chasing chicks who get free stuff, and usually it's like swimwear or lingerie or like high heel shoes or something that's going to make them like look sexy or slutty or whatever. And they go and they try it on. They do like maybe a 15-minute video, and it like shoots up to 500,000 views, and their subscription goes like through the roof, just because they're two little cute chicks that go and do something like this. They get free stuff. But to maintain that, to sustain that, they still have to be rubbing shoulders with blue check marks. They still have to be at the cool club, even if it's like, that's not like, there's no real celebrities there. It's just guys who are like famous on TikTok, famous on, I guess it used to be, what was it? What was the other one? What was
Vine.
TikTok? Well, yeah, exactly.
Vine.
Yeah, Vine. If you're a Vine, like I remember when my daughter, like when she was in high school, she was like, "This guy's my favorite Vine guy." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It's like Vine.
The Paul brothers. The Paul brothers started on Vine.
Yeah, and so they got sort of famous as a result of that. I would argue this is Joe Rogan is more famous for being Joe Rogan on YouTube than he ever was as a MMA guy or as a comedian, right? Sure. I mean, you know him from his fame before you know him from his being and he's a stand-up comedian. He's on Netflix, man. You can go watch his stuff, but nobody knows him from that. They only know that he moved to Spotify and he made $100 million for the move. So,
yeah, like again, these days right now, status is everything, and status can be manufactured. I mean, we
yes.
Yes, status can easily be manufactured as well. I have a friend, right, and he's like a low level DJ, and he was on this show called Master of the Mix, VH1 in 2013, right?
Mhm.
And he was on the show. He was able to edit out a couple of like highlight videos, and then he got a one really high quality photo with him in the DJ booth with 50 Cent next to him, and 50 Cent was smiling big, and it was just the most perfect photo opportunity. So my buddy was in the DJ booth and 50 Cent sitting next to him, and because he was on VH1, he was able to apply to get verified for a blue check mark on Twitter, right?
Mhm.
His name is DJ Brian Daw. You could find him on Twitter. DJ Brian Daw, Dawe. And what he ended up doing, I'll never forget this. He took his picture of him on the show Master of the Mix, and then he took the picture of him on the stage with 50 Cent, and he took a couple of other like highly well edited photos, put them on Tinder, and then all he put in his bio was check me out on Twitter, and then and it was just his handle on Twitter. I have never seen a man's Tinder get so many matches in
Immediately.
so little time.
Yeah.
And he always told me this. He's like, it's so crazy how gullible these chicks are. He's like, because right now I live at home with my mom and I drive around her Toyota Echo. I was like, because he's transitioning between moving from Orlando to Las Vegas. He lives in Vegas now. And he's like, but these girls just build up the delusion. They build up this dream far more than the reality really is. So like that's what I'm saying nowadays. Like I see a lot of guys saying, "Oh, I don't use Instagram. Instagram's for girls." Like you're just telling me you're a guy that's not in the know right now. You don't get it. Look at every single girl. Just go around, walk around in your day-to-day life. Look at what people are looking at on their phone. Tell me 95% of the time, girls are either doing one of three things: text messaging someone, doing online shopping, or they're on Instagram. It's those three right there. And the hottest of the hottest girls, they're on TikTok.
You know what? You know what? I'll tell you something funny that taught me that lesson. I was flying to Vegas or I was flying out to Miami. I can't remember, but I had to get up in the middle of the flight and go take a piss, and then I had to walk back to my seat, right? And everyone in the plane has a tablet or they got their phone, and they're locked into like the airline, the Southwest's, Wi-Fi or whatever. And as I'm walking up the aisle, I'm like watching like what are these people doing? Like, well, somebody's reading a book, maybe. Okay, I got that. But like, you're 100% right, because every chick that's on there is either on Twitter, on Instagram. She's like managing her photos. She's doing some kind of social media as I'm walking up to my seat, and I go, damn, is that where we are? This is what we've become? And it's 100% true, man. Yep. And it's all about perception. Yep. And so I want to throw this out there because I got the guys who are saying like there's I forget who was someone in the chat said do you think that Fresh and Fit is the epicenter of the red pill right now? And I said, well, I don't know about the epicenter. I think,
how would you define the epicenter? What do you mean
exactly? By that? And I'm like, well, they do something that nobody else is doing right now because they have they're in the right place at the right time to do it. Yeah. And they can, like, tonight, most likely they'll have, well, I don't know, it's Sunday night, but like on a Saturday night for sure, they'll have like, anywhere between, 6 and 12 girls on there, and they have that conversation, and no one else is doing that. Yeah. I think from that perspective, yes, it is, but where do you go from that? I'm wondering if like Myron's not even like a little bored of doing it right now.
I mean, no, I think Myron. I know Myron personally. He was he was in Body Language Mastery Q1. He was like literally one of the first students that ever signed up for the coaching program, and now look where he is. So, but I think what they're doing, and which is very, 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 very valuable, is they are broadcasting female delusion to the world. Mm-hmm. And that is valuable because it's not scripted. It's not paid for, none of that. Like, they are bringing these girls in, and some guys, because a lot of dudes, simping is out of control, and America's #1 export is simping, right? Yeah. I mean, you see dudes simping on Netflix specials. You see dudes simping in music. You see dudes simping in the movies, and you do the trace back, and it all goes back to America. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing right now is, even for these dudes that are like low key simps, because a lot of simps watch their channel too, because they fawn over these girls. But there's a few guys out there that actually see what they're doing and are getting a real live education on the red pill being witnessed live. Like there's no script. There's none of like those girls aren't reading a script or playing a character, and they're noticing a commonality with a lot of chicks, which really is kind of proving that whole, remember the red pill Reddit thing, the AWALT, all women are like that thing.
Like that. Yep.
I used to be in the NAWALT category, but now I'm firmly in the AWALT category.
All women are like that is just the context of how they're like that.
Yes.
And I think that's what throws a lot of guys. I don't think guys want to believe that. And this is a really good segue. So I'm going to put this up here real quick because Patrick said something that I was going to hit on anyways. So Patrick Wood says, not to be cynical by any means, but isn't this stuff just exhausting? Just by virtue of listening to it, I'm already tired. Yeah. Yes.
It is.
Yes, it is. It's very exciting. That's what I was just saying about Myron. Like, I'm wondering if Myron's not getting a little tired of having the same conversation over and over again, because all women are like that. Yep. It's just how they're like it, right? It's just the context. It's the nature is consistent. It's just how it's expressed is different. So if they got a girl up there, like, and they got a girl from Argentina last night. I thought she was okay. I mean, she's kind of used up hot, but she was okay hot.
Used up hot. I love it.
You know, like girls like this.
Like a
she got the
Doris.
She looks good, but she looks just like she's just so like, I'm tired.
Someone love me.
But, someone love me, please. I know. And then, but real quick. So
good.
Patrick here is like, I get it, because a lot of people want to say, well, isn't this dehumanizing? Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. It is very much dehumanizing. Oh, what about like somebody was saying before earlier, they're going like, well, when Rollo talks about like alpha fucks and beta bucks, like that's, I think that when we look at like what makes a high value guy and what makes a low value guy, you have to have a benchmark. You have to have a metric for that. What is it that makes you high value? Is it like, because a lot of guys, and I asked this question on yesterday's Rule Zero, what is it that makes for a guy that, by what standard are we going to judge whether or not you're high value or you're low value? Is it because the chick wants to fuck you? Is it because of, are you then not using women as the metric of your success and your self-worth at that point? Okay, well, even if you're not going to do that, then what is? Then what does make you that? Because the guys in the chat here just a minute ago, and this is more to Patrick's point as well, is that it's like you can be the best. Like, what was it? Troy yesterday was saying like how he you could be a poet. You could be this wonderful, wonderful poet. Nobody has any use for it. Nobody cares. Nobody wants it. Women don't want poetry. They don't want flowers. They don't want it. They want to, they want the hot guy in the foam cannon party. They want the guy who's going to like use them till Tuesday. Right. And if he happens to be a poet, maybe that's icing on the cake, but that's not the cake. And I think it does get cynical. It does get depressing. It does get exhausting, because you're like, this is what I have to do to make this. This is what I have to do to be a high value guy. And the answer is yes, you do. You have to do this, and you have to keep up until you don't want to keep up anymore, until you can't keep up anymore, until you're the guy, or until you're the lion that's looking behind you to see because when an alpha lion, or I usually use this analogy for like greyhounds. Like, when a good racing greyhound is at the peak of its condition, it never looks behind it. It's always straight ahead, and it's always looking at the target, and it's always trying to win. When that dog is getting out of, like, it's kind of like maybe it's hit year 4 or year 5, and it's starting to like kind of hit the wall sort of thing. That's when the dogs will look behind them. And I think that's something similar to that with human beings as well. Maybe it happens later for us if you're on the top of your game and your peak condition. But when you start looking behind you to see who's coming up behind you or who's going to come and attack you, that's when you're starting to get to this point right here where you get cynical, and it just becomes very, very tiring. Yeah,
and like I think for the guy Patrick that mentioned that, I think the thing is this, like, for example, I think maybe your interpretation of the information is incorrect, right? Because when I read back in the day, I read that book by David D'Angelo called Double Your Dating, right?
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember he said, like, you just got to be cocky and funny, cocky and funny, cocky and funny. He's like, that's all you have to be. And so I remember like trying to do it and giving it a go. And I just found it so exhausting. And the
Mhm.
thing is, like, you have to realize this. There's different categories of girls that are into different types of guys. So you just need to find the market that suits you the best,
Mhm.
right? Like for me personally, I hate nightclubs. I despise nightclubs. I despise talking to girls in nightclubs. I despise girls that go to nightclubs. I think they're some of the lowest form creatures on the planet. I just truly, in my heart of hearts, dislike that. Now, does that make me a weak beta male who can't pick up girls in the most difficult setting? Maybe. But at the same time, even if that's the case, great. I'm happy to be that fucking beta male that people want to label me as, right? Because I don't like to go to this atmosphere that has loud music, overpriced drinks, rude people bumping into you, can't have a conversation. I personally think it's a low IQ dungeon. And I'm pretty sure I'm right when I say this. Like, it's probably the lowest ROI for picking up girls out of all events that you can do. And so for me, I'm like, I believe that I'm a high value man enough that I have enough dignity to say, like, hey, you know what? This just isn't for me. And have enough inner game and congruency to be like, I'm okay with the fact that this isn't okay with me. I'd rather go pick up a bunch of chicks, go talk to the girl, walking down the street, or go, talk to the girl that I've matched with off of Bumble, off of Tinder,
Mhm.
off of Hinge, right? Or the girl that I just day gamed, and go have a coffee with her, have a chat with her, get her to like me just from like being a boss, and then taking her home and having sex with her that same day, instead of just,
Mhm.
doing the whole fucking chimping out thing in the club with a bunch of low IQ morons. Just like, that's just what I believe. So that's also a facet of being a high value man right there. Just having the balls to be like, yeah, I just don't want to do that. And I want to do it this way. Now, if your way is like, oh, I just want to be a fat fuck and stay at home and eat Cheetos and Doritos and have my mom make me pizza rolls and, like, then, and then live off of her pension money or social security money, and the white women will like me for this. No, then you're wrong. But there's some certain baselines you have to have covered, which I sum up very simply: make money, make muscles, learn game. If you have these baselines covered, then you could pretty much pick up girls everywhere. Going back to the statement with Troy, right, with the poetry thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, most girls are not into poetry, but if you market yourself correctly and you go in poetry forums and you have a blue check mark for being a famous poet, and you go on poet podcasts, then you're swimming in the pussy. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yes, it's domain dependency is what it is. Like, play to your strengths. Royce said that way back in the day. When it comes to clubs, I have a different opinion of it, because like most of my life has been really spent in clubs, because either as a musician or as a guy who's running promos. Like, I was just down in Vegas a couple weeks ago running a promo, like the second of my promos down there that I haven't done in a while. And I was like, man, I kind of missed this because it's not because I'm there partying, and I'm not like trying to sarge on it. I'll be married for 25 years come July. But I like going there because I like to see the opportunities now. My opinion has changed of clubs. If I was like single, I would not probably go for clubs. But remember, I come from an era where that was the only thing that was available. That was how I met my wife in a club after a gig, as a matter of fact. That's how you met people back then. Today, and I just threw this on Twitter not too long ago. That's the number one way that couples meet is online.
Yes.
So there's a certain pragmatism that goes to that. Now, I know that when you're young and you're sort of, you go to a club for the first time and you're hanging out, or maybe you go to a rave, or maybe you go to whatever, a DJ's going there, or you're going to see a band or whatever it is. Yeah, man, that's exciting. It's fun because there's chicks there. And I remember back in the day, you just go cruise down Main Street, right? And go cruise chicks, right? You just get in a car and go look for the girls who are going to be out there too, walking up and down the street, because they're advertising just like any other girl has done throughout human history. Only now we do it on Instagram. Women will advertise themselves sexually. Here's my availability, guys. Even if they're not available, they're still advertising that they are available. And that's Main Street. Instagram is just Main Street for the global sexual marketplace right now. And So when you see that, you have to remember that there's other ways. You don't want to become domain dependent on just one place. So if all you've ever done is be successful with girls in clubs one way, that's why my biggest criticism of Roosh back in the day was he was domain dependent. If you read, he's got actually one of the best books that he ever wrote, and now it's out of print, of course, was a book called 30 Bangs. And it was like 30 of the girls that he got with and in the countries and how he went about getting with these chicks. And they all follow the same formula. They're all domain dependent on those particular things. Now he talks about them individually and what they were like and everything else. That's fine. That's what I thought was fascinating. But the template is always the same. So if that's all you're used to, yeah, you're probably going to get tired of it. You're probably going to want to change yourself and find God after you take magic mushrooms or whatever the hell it is, right? Because that is, now you're like, it's so exhausting and I can't think of anything else to do. So I'm going to give up and I'm just going to let go and become something else. And that's what a lot of guys end up doing. Let me throw this up here real quick because this was a really good one. Jude says, Rollo and MLD, thank you for all that you do. I'm 34, single, currently deployed, earning tax-free money and about $27,000 in crypto investments. If it weren't for your content, I'd be simping all that money away on women. Of course you would be.
Yep. And again,
talking about
and talking about how the high value changes over time. Now, right, you're starting to see girls are like saying like, oh, so you have Bitcoin, you have a lot of Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. Like I think cryptocurrency is cool. You see these girls, might I add you, useless girls on Fresh and Fit podcast, like, oh, I'm a crypto I'm a crypto advisor, and I like
no, you're not.
yeah, exactly. And so you're seeing a new niche pop up. And that you're gonna have like these crypto thoughts now that are be coming through, and they're already starting to pop up on TikTok and Twitter. So you have to realize this: if you want to be, there is a certain level of fluidity to being a high value man, and that changes as the times change. And part of being a really good player is evolving and rolling with the time changing as well. Like any good player now knows that if he's a good looking guy in real life and you hit up a girl and you have her follow you on Instagram and you can like consistently show high status on Instagram as well, dude, it's over. It is so over. You're going to clean up every single time. And so that's another thing for the guys who want to write off Instagram. You're 1,000% incorrect. 1,000% incorrect.
Do you want Ryan Sullivan to add you to the book he's writing? I have no idea who this is.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Put me in too, man. For that $5, you better damn well put Rollo Tomassi in there. Just both in there. So I want to hit on this video because I think you wanted to talk about this too, and I certainly wanted to hit on this. This is the thing that I'll put.
We're gonna get into the census stuff for sure.
This one, and I forget this chick's name I keep calling her Nakatomi, but it's something Natomi, I think. And she's like a journalist. And the reason I want to throw this on there is because this is such like when we talk about like what it is, like the old school, the old order way of thinking versus the new order way of thinking. And it's fascinating to me how like a guy like Tim Pool now suddenly recognizes red pill, even if he's still like hopelessly blue pill, he still recognizes the value of talking about this stuff right now. And same goes for Abba and Preach. Same goes for, Kevin Samuels, but also for, like name the, what was it? Oh, Louder with Crowder. Stephen Crowder was talking about red pill stuff. I mean, almost using my terminology, almost quoting me. And I'm like, where's he getting this stuff? And then, everybody wants to jump on the red pill wagon right now. Oh, sorry. Ryan's writing a book about crypto game.
Crypto guide. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, right away.
Yes. I'll get back to you, T-Man. Let me get onto these because I really wanted this chick. I'm putting this on here for educational purposes, so we don't have to watch this whole thing because there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about.
But we're going to chill. And we're going to talk about some of an article you wrote 4 years ago, Melanie. So we have this from the New York Post. Childish men are to blame for women having kids late in life. I wonder if that made men really angry at men or at you. But just explain, what is this article about?
So, as we know, generally the writer doesn't actually write the headline. So I would just like to say it or add the photo. I that was not the point of the piece. The point of the piece is to say that Pew Research had new data that found that women are much more focused on marriage and parenthood than men are, and also more focused on career than men are. And women have to know that they may not find the man that they want to be with as soon as they want to be with him, and that they need to consider whether they want to, look at their fertility, freeze their eggs, consider, now these are not, I haven't frozen my eggs, I didn't freeze my eggs. Maybe they want to think about having a baby on their own and save up for that. Maybe they want to save up for IVF. So that was what the piece was about. It was never about making men feel like they are not worthy of women.
How did that come about then? How did they make your article about that?
Because that's how headlines work. I mean,
well, is it because men, by virtue of what you're saying, they conclude that men aren't focused on family and career
Correct.
enough, so they're calling them childish men?
Right. Because this is that right there is a trope that has been used for a really, really long time. It's men's fault that women can't succeed. It's men's fault that they're not high value enough, right? When we go and we watch Fresh and Fit, what's the first thing women say? That, remember, it's not what they say, it's what they do. Remember, the medium is the message. But what's the first thing they say is, I need a guy who's motivated, a guy who has ambition, a guy who's making, like, it's all about the bag kind of stuff. Like, I need a guy that's going to be one of the top, 5% of earners. And she gets this wrong too later on in this interview. I won't do the whole thing, but she talks about how women are looking for guys who are their equals, and they're looking for the guy who is their intellectual equal, their educational equal, their monetary equal. And we got this question earlier in the chat here a minute ago, which was is it possible for a guy who makes less than his wife or his girlfriend or whatever to still hold frame and to still be alpha and to still maintain a good relationship as a result of that? And one of the things, when I was listening to this, I'm just grinding my teeth going, nothing about the stats here. You can quote Pew Research all you want, but also another thing about Pew Research is that women have also, it was just a year ago, I think this was in 2019, they're complaining about how they could not find economically attractive men. And and they did the numbers on this, and even I think it was Aaron Clary who helped me pick this one apart, is that women want a guy who makes as much money as they do, plus 58% to be economically attractive. So it's whatever they're making plus an extra almost 60% on top of what they're making to be in the running to have met one criteria for their long-term security and their long-term investment in them in a marriage of some sorts.
Yeah, I just think the only two stats that matter here is she's single and childless, giving advice on why
how to have a successful relationship.
Like what are the components of having a successful relationship and why men are to be at fault. And again, like I said, let's go back to the Fresh and Fit podcast, right? How many of those girls sit there and be like, you know what, guys, you're right. I was a hoe and that's why I'm single. No, none of them. These girls argue with them to the point that they get thrown off the podcast.
Right.
They don't accept responsibility and they don't accept accountability. And that's why men rule the world. The sooner you guys out there as men run towards accountability, run towards responsibility, the sooner you're going to have more money, the sooner you're going to have more muscles. And if you're doing this in the gym, holding yourself accountable to your protein intake, holding yourself accountable to your gym repertoire, right? Holding yourself accountable to your cardio. All these things is the more you run towards accountability and responsibility, the more you're going to get out of life financially, with your physical fitness, and with girls. If you go if you go on a date, right? Like, let's talk about the MGTOW and the black pill guys, right? Those guys run from responsibility. Name one multimillionaire MGTOW. Name one multimillionaire black pill guy. They're not out there, because the biggest problem is those little subsets of those communities, them not getting women is a symptom of them not handling their whole life properly as a man.
Yeah, it's proving a negative is what it is. Is if your standard for success is not to do something rather than to do something, you're trying to prove a negative. It's like, I don't have to do anything, therefore I'm a winner.
Yeah.
I shoot the arrow, I hit whatever the hell I hit, I paint the target around it, and I get a bullseye every single time that I do so. Yeah. And I don't think, and this is like, she's going to complain about this here in a minute as well, but this is, we constantly, the reason why her editor named it this is because, first of all, it's clickbait, but it also is clickbait in that it is reconfirming what women want to believe about guys. All guys, most guys, well, the vast majority of guys are low quality, low value, low limit players in life. And the reason why you have problems, ladies, the reason why you're single and you're childless, just like Morgan Stanley said you're going to be between the ages of 25 and 44 by 2030, the reason for that is because of childish men who don't want to grow up and want to take responsibility for your success, to complete your life plan. Yeah. And she's, again, this is old order versus new order. She's stuck firmly in this idea, and she flounders for reasons here too. It's almost painful. It's cringe inducing to watch a lot of this stuff. But it's more cringe inducing to watch Tim Pool get into this too.
I gotta make a quick statement.
It a dude editor who was like,
hold on one second. Go ahead.
No, so the funniest thing about this woman in her statement is she's just proving the whole lack of accountability and responsibility to the point that she's saying the reason men don't want to take on my accountability and responsibility is because she's saying that hold on, let me think about this for a second. What she's saying is this, right? When men take on a woman who becomes pregnant, right? That is accepting more accountability and responsibility upon themselves outside of the man's own personal accountability and responsibility. And she's blaming men for not taking the extra accountability and responsibility on. Do you see what I'm saying there?
Yes,
she's also outsourcing that responsibility and accountability.
Right. It's I have again, this is in my first book. It's a chapter called Appreciation. Women will never fundamentally lack the capacity to appreciate the sacrifices that a man has to make to ensure their safety, their security, and to ensure the lifestyle and the life that they're living as a result of those sacrifices. Because that's just what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take care of your kids. You're supposed to be a good husband. You're supposed to make 58% more than she does. You're supposed to. And yet, at least for the last 2 generations, guys have either opted out or they've just simply given up, outright, to do anything even remotely that would in some way complete that life mission. Because you have to remember that women's mating strategy ends up becoming their life strategy. So when you get to alpha fucks and beta bucks, she's much more able to enjoy her prime agency years when she's 21, 22, 23, but the vast majority of her life, she's going to be necessitous of long-term security for a long time. And so women get resentful because men aren't stepping up to the plate to make sure that their life plan is insured for them.
Not stepping up
sacrifices.
I as a man, I'm not stepping up to the plate to pay for you, to pay for the child, to pay for the food that's going to feed you and the child, to pay for the doctor that needs to check you up in your first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, who has to pay for the kids' preschool, who has to pay for the kids' clothing, has to pay for baseball lessons, all this stuff, while carefully walking the line not to piss you off so you don't take me to divorce court and financially destroy me.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, let me put this.
No, and I love my editor. My editor is amazing. No, but some men did certainly get upset. In fact, there was one that decided we needed like a Talmudic treatise on this. It was an hour-long, opinion piece on how I was wrong, even though he was talking about the data that is Pew Research data. it did upset a lot of men, and that frankly upset me because I actually love men and I love boys, and I'm a champion of men and boys. So, and I don't think that men and boys are childish, but I do think that we have a problem in America whereby we are so focused on girls and women and their power and empowerment that boys and men kind of fall into the background. And I think that if we want to enable women to have all that they want, we need to raise boys and men up.
I don't know. You run into trouble when you start talking about this stuff, because even though right now women are the majority of those graduating college, the narrative is still that they're in the minority and they're in the weaker position. Shouldn't we start getting rid of these women's programs and start propping up men's programs to encourage men to get? I'm not a fan of college, by the way, so this is not an apology or me now supporting it. No. But just for the general context, shouldn't these feminists be like, oh, we got to support the minority, and that's the men now?
I don't know that you have to take anything away from girls. Girls should be able to reach their potential. The problem is that we've forgotten boys. So yes, girls in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Girls.
What I want to know when I hear this kind of stuff is like, you'll get this all the time. Like, women should be able to reach their potential. What is their potential? What is that? Is that you should have the ability to create your own life and to have your own career and everything else. What's the potential? Because we were just talking about this just a second ago. Your mating strategy, ladies, your mating strategy becomes your life strategy. Okay.
What do you mean by that? The mating strategy becomes the life strategy.
Well, exactly? The mating strategy is alpha fucks, beta bucks, right? Women only have a very short window of time between, say, like 18 and let's just say, I'm going to give them a lot of credit here, between 18 and 28, right? Because usually 29 is when the epiphany phase kicks in. And that's usually when women are starting to say, oh my gosh, it's time to cash my chips in before the lights come on at the party kind of thing. So between, like, if a woman lives between, say, like, average age of a woman, let's just say 90 years, okay, because they outlive men, okay? So you got from 0 to 90. From 18 to 28, women are, and again, I'm giving them a lot of credit here, between 18 to 28, women are in their prime fertility, prime agency years. That's, like I've said before in the past, that women at the age of about 23 years old are at their peak sexual market value years. Then you get to be at 28, like Tommy Lahren, and oh my God, men aren't doing what I want them to do. And then when they get to be like 30, 31 years old, then it's like, men are so childish. They're afraid of they're threatened by a powerful woman like me. That's what happened. John, what happened to all the good guys? What happened to them? Where are they? How come they're not around when I need them? Which is exactly what she says. They can't have kids when they need these guys to be right there to provide them with kids. When is that? Well, usually it's right around 30, 31, 32, because that's when they go, oh, I guess we've just hit our biological clock, right? Our biological clock is ticking. No. Your biological clock was ticking when you were 23, not when you're 33. It's already over at that point. Your odds of bringing a child to term and having successfully conceiving and bringing a child to term are nowhere near what they were 10 years ago when you were 23 years old. If you were worried about your biological clock and having kids, that's when you needed to be concerned about that, because you're on top of your game. Like, men wanted to fuck you right then and there, right? And at no other time in your life will you have more agency and more power. She even mentions agency later on in this. And it's like, that's the case. So from that stretch of 10 years in a lifetime that lasts 90, that's not even 10% of her life where she has that prime agency to make the mating strategy work for her. Because when she gets to 30, there's a new crop of 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds that are coming into the sexual marketplace, and she's already been cycled out, whether she believes that or she doesn't. So we have like all these social conventions in the gynocentric social order that says, don't worry, you can be sexy at any age. Men are just infantile and beauty is a social construct. And it's because these guys have been socially conditioned to want to fuck, blonde hair, big tit, blue eyed centerfold models. That's why you can't that's why they're childish. That's why these guys, they're not ready they haven't prepared themselves to complete your life's mission, your mating strategy, your life strategy, when you need, at the time, they're not there when you need them, as you need them.
And this is what I mean. And this is why I want to stress to guys out there that are listening, first of all, you have to realize this right now. It seems like it's the best thing ever for a girl to be a girl in these modern times. But you have to realize that these girls have collectively screwed themselves in the long term, and it's not going to get better, because the number one thing is this: they've flooded the market with easy access to a bunch of sex.
Saturated the market.
Saturated. So let me ask you this: why, if you're a high value man, why, in the name of our good Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, why would you ever settle down in today's marketplace? Why would you be like, you know what? Time to settle down. It is now time for me to just have sex with one girl for the rest of my life. What is the benefit of that? You have literally hot ass hitting the market every single hour. A girl is turning 18 in the United States of America. And these other ones that are older, they're, as a girl gets more ran through, has more dicks in her, what does she do? She starts to develop the 1,000 cock stare. She starts to become more jaded. She starts to become more unlikable, all at the same time while aging, right? And getting older and looking less attractive. What does she bring to the table? The whole thing she led with in her 20s was her sexuality. That's what these girls lead with, right? These American women have every education opportunity in the world. And what if they decided to do? Sell nudes on OnlyFans, become sugar babies. A woman's life plan is get a good man. That is a woman's life plan. That is how centered, or how can I say, like, that is how men are just the center of a woman's existence. It's all about just get a man. And the thing is, they don't understand what men like, they don't understand what men dislike, and they don't understand how to keep a man. Okay, they don't have girl game. Girls outside of America know how to do this: cooking, cleaning, loving acts of servitude. You wouldn't be with Miss Tomassi for 25 plus years if she didn't cook for you, she didn't clean for you.
There's value added.
She didn't scratch your head, tell you you're a handsome man, even all the way up into your 50s. You know what I mean? Tell you you're a big, strong, great husband. You're a good father. You wouldn't be with her for that. But the average chick these days, they're lost. And what you said, I think you're the only person in the red pill who said this, and it's so true. The situation in America right now with the broken sexual marketplace all goes back to the broken family and the broken parenting. Because you have a wonderful, well-adjusted daughter. I'm not saying I'm very, no offense to the guy, but look at Jordan Peterson and look at his daughter. His daughter's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Okay. And your daughter is complete opposite, well-adjusted. There are so many bad parents and bad parenting ideals in America. We want to teach little boys, boys can have periods too, by the way. And then use these pronouns, speak grammatically incorrect, and focus on these things that don't really matter. Meanwhile, we're not telling people how to pay taxes. We're certainly not teaching children proper nutritional facts, because now you probably noticed this too, Rollo. There's an epidemic of fat little kids everywhere in America. Obese kids. That wasn't happening 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you this. I got two questions for you, and one will follow the other. The first one is this: do you think, and for judging from just watching this first little short clip right here, do you think that, like, how we talk, we kind of criticize like black pill guys or MGTOW guys or whatever. We criticize them for like sort of wanting to exit the game, or like on the other, like, and even me, you can even throw this at me too, because I was this way until like I was talking to you or I was talking to Myron, and like you guys would tell me, you know what, Rollo, the red pill and everything that you're talking about in your book, theoretically, all that good stuff, all, the base truths, like the underlying objective truths are still the same. It's just the context has changed. I think, I'm asking you this, do you think that women also suffer from that as well right now? Because they still think that things ought to be a certain way, but yet they're not, either they're unaware of it, or they're basing their expectations on that old order way of thinking in this new order that they're still living in. And they still have to, like, sort of, because women have no problem with cognitive dissonance, if one of those choices of cognitive dissonance leads to optimizing hypergamy. They don't. It doesn't matter if black is white or white is black. If one of those choices leads to them successfully optimizing hypergamy, doesn't matter what the other choice was. They'll go with choice A or choice B as a result of that. But my question is this: is a lot of the guys today are still kind of trying to play catch up. They're still trying to figure out like they're purposeless. These are the lost boys, like Jordan Peterson. I always talked about, like, these are the guys who have no purpose, they have no direction or whatever. And there's, like, I just got in the chat right now, how do I become a high value man? We're trying to explain that to you right here. But that idea of what a high value man is or ought to be, I think, is sort of defined by an old order way or an old order definition of what that guy ought to be. Right? He's got to be rich. He's got to be Superman or Captain America instead of Iron Man or Batman. Right? He's got to be the upstanding guy, and you got to have all this value so that when you get to a certain point, that women will want to get with you, because their only notion is attraction and interaction with women and intersexual dynamics from a transactional perspective, rather than like, I'm the hot guy in the foam cannon party and women want to fuck me just because of the way I look, the way I act, my dominance, everything else. The solution for that, the compensation for those deficits, for not having that, is to make a lot of money and to dress well and to make $10,000 a month and live in this particular city and be financially independent. And then you'll have those chicks, right? But aren't those guys, isn't that definition of high value only modified by the women that she's talking about right now, the women that aren't fresh and fit? Your definition of what a high value guy is set by the female metric. Like, I want a guy who's like this. I need a guy. If you want to get with those chicks, you've got to be all that. You've got to have a blue check. You've got to be hot on Instagram. You have to handle all of these little micromanage your independent personal brand if you want to be a high value guy. Well, what is a high value guy? Whatever the chicks say it is. Whatever these girls are looking for. Because if you're not succeeding with that, or you're not making the money, you're not providing these women with a prerequisite of what they would consider as high value, does that make you high value? Are they looking for an old order way of thinking and they just simply haven't got the news yet? And that's why we think this is what a high value guy ought to be.
You remember when we were little, and then you'd be like, oh, what superhero do you want to be, right? Mm-hmm. And the most uninteresting, stupid kids would always say, like, I just want to be Superman, because just Superman's the best. Superman's the strongest. Like, you can't beat me because I'm Superman. I just win, right?
Bulletproof. Yeah,
I'm bulletproof. I can do this. I'm just the most powerful, right? That's what girls are saying these days. They don't know what they want, so they're just like, I just want the best. I want the best guy.
I want Superman.
Like, I want Superman. I want the guy who has all the power bars maxed out. I want the guy who's rich. I want the job that makes me work only 20 hours a week, but I make $150,000 a year. They just don't know what they want, so they just demand the best because they are so detached from reality. They completely live in a position of ignorance. And I think that's a big problem why they're so unhappy, because, I mean, the studies continue to show that women, despite all of their advances in society, they're getting more and more and more unhappy. And of course, hilariously so, they continue to compare their happiness towards men, because women just live, like, men are just the barometer for women's life. Yeah, exactly, right there. Is he the best I can get, right? Women's happiness is just plummeting and plummeting and plummeting the more rights they get. But the reality is this: these rights are not really rights. All they're doing is just pushing women into the position of being men, like going to work, paying taxes, getting educated, and taking that financial burden upon yourself. We have left women to their own devices, and they are self-destructing at a rapid rate. Like, I love to say it, the fattest people in the world right now are American women, the most empowered women in the world. However, this is also happening in Europe as well. This is a Western phenomenon. The more educated a woman is, the more fucking miserable she is. Okay? Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is this: they're just straying away from their traditional gender role. You ever see a chick, how when she doesn't have a baby, how she reacts about somebody within proximity of her having a baby? It's like a guy standing like near a hot girl, he's like, oh fuck, like I'm gonna shoot my shot, right? You could see the girl like, oh my god, I'm gonna say hi to the baby. I'm gonna make a face. I'm gonna do something. It's the same thing.
I know you're a fan. I know you're a fan of Star Wars. Did you watch The Mandalorian?
Of course, I loved it.
Of course you watched The Mandalorian. There was this meme that was going around. It was like, it was showing like pictures of like Rey, right? The strong, empowered Jedi chick who just kicks ass, like G.I. Jane, right? Kicks ass and takes names. They want a strong, like it's what Hollywood thinks that women want.
The bestest ever.
What they really want is Baby Yoda, is little Baby Yoda. That's what they really want. They don't want lightsaber duel. That's the most popular show in Star Wars with women. Because Baby Yoda is Grogu is in it. It's not about lightsabers. It's not about, ass kicking, Ahsoka Tano. It's about little Grogu. That's what made it popular.
Yep.
They want, it's that maternal instinct.
And that's the thing. They, these chicks, when they get older too, and they realize like when they're in their 40s and they realize like, shit, I cannot have a baby. Like, it's game over. 40-year-old,
much difficult. Yeah,
dude. When a woman hits 40, the probability of having a kid is like extremely low. Let alone a healthy child.
And that's what. And she mentioned this. The chicken here, Melanie. What's her name? She mentioned that in the beginning, like freeze your eggs kind of thing. You have to remember, like I've written about this in the past, and I wrote about this originally because there were certain Fortune 500 companies that were offering egg freezing as part of a benefits package for women who came into like middle management or above. I think they did that at Facebook and like maybe even Google and some other places, but like big name companies were offering that. And I thought that is one of the most dangerous things you could possibly offer women as a sort of a benefits package, because what that's doing is selling them on this false hope. First of all, that they're actually not trying to find the right guy. They're actually focusing on their career instead of the fact that they're just simply not women that any guy wants to get with as a result of who they are, because they're careerist women, and they're the kind of women who would need to freeze their eggs in the first place. And it's also dangerous because it sends the message to women who aren't in that position that, hey, don't worry about it. You can go and you can have it all, baby, because you can freeze your eggs. And then when you get to be 40 years old and you finally found Mr. Right, your eggs will still be fresh and you won't have to worry about an empty egg carton, because we'll keep your eggs fresh in our own cryogenic carton, and you'll be have any problem carrying it to term. It's like they don't realize it's not about the freshness of the eggs. It's about your physical capacity to actually carry that child to term in the first place.
And let's be honest, if a guy comes to you in your 40s, he ain't Mr. Right. Like if a guy's like, oh, like I'm fucking good right now with my money, I'm solid. I'm not out there like, hey, like where are the cougars at? I'm like, no, where are the girls age 19 to 24, like right around there. It's my sweet spot. The younger and dumber and hotter they are in that 19 to 24 age gap, I'm all about it. I'm not like, hey, listen, I'm ready to go get like the early bird discount with this 44-year-old broad. Like, I don't want that at all.
This was funny.
What Jimmy, that previous one was funny. I want to talk about that if you can.
Sure.
The Jimmy and Dallas one.
Which one was that?
About why the Mandalorians succeed? Or
yeah. Here, let me put that on. Here you go. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So Jimmy and Dallas $5 super chat says, "Here's why the Mandalorian works and why the sequel trilogy failed. Traditional masculinity, dude, 10,000% correct. And the biggest thing is this: the sequel trilogy, it's all ran by a crazy feminist named Kathleen Kennedy. And anybody who's like a diehard fan of mine, no, dude, I fucking hate Kathleen Kennedy. I hate that bitch. When Star Wars.
When that series was over is when they got Laura Dern to be that purple-haired admiral, whatever the hell her name was. I'm like, this is a completely useless character that has no. In fact, that whole part of that unmemorable part of that trilogy sequel. Yep. It was pointless unless you think that you're going to be putting this character in there to satisfy a certain narrative, and it's just a vehicle for that narrative. That's when I'm like, okay, it's over.
And I'll tell you this. I'll say this because these people just don't seem to realize what the young men in America and women are thirsting for. The reason why the Marvel Cinematic Universe was so popular is because it was centered around two traditionally masculine men, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, and Steve Rogers, aka Captain America.
Mhm.
Now, the only hope that the Marvel Universe has is Spider-Man. Okay, that's the only hope. But Sony is traditionally known for mismanaging Spider-Man and the rights. I personally see, if you take a look at what's happening with the Marvel Universe in this phase, this next phase, this post Tony Stark era,
Mhm.
you're going to see, excuse me, you're going to see massive failure. I don't know if you're watching the Falcon or Winter Soldier right
I
now.
watched the whole thing. I was going to ask you about that. What you thought about that?
I stopped watching after the second episode. I couldn't
really?
do it because it's written by this feminist. The whole psychologist scene where they're sitting there dealing with the psychologist, it's just so boring and it's so awful. Now
It's
what they're
men
trying to
beholden to female authority. That's what that is. That scene right there is men, masculinity being held accountable and held responsible to female authority. That's why the woman is a psychologist. She's a psychologist.
And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the numbers of Disney Plus are plummeting because of this. Because the Falcon and Winter Soldier is a failure, and the ratings are plummeting per episode. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. And this next phase of Marvel, the only way it's going to survive is this. Okay, let's get real nerdy real quick. So the only way it's going to survive if they bring the Doctor Strange and Spider-Man thing together, because in the animated series and as well as the comic books, Doctor Strange acted as a mentor to Spider-Man. So if they carry on that and they develop Tom Holland into a man version of Spider-Man, because he's a kid now, 10 years and he'll be 28ish or so, that will be the very successful version of the Marvel Universe. But the moment they start going, because they have the Eternals and now they have 2 gay men that are going to be featured and stuff like that. And honestly, in the comic books, that wasn't as famous, that wasn't as popular either. But what they're going to do is they're trying to go down this woke agenda. Now Thor is a woman. Okay, now they're going to start demeaning Thor, and you're going to see the numbers tank, and this social justice agenda completely ruin the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And honestly, the previous one was a masterpiece, of course, put together by Kevin Feige, a man, right? And you have Kathleen Kennedy given a brand far more powerful, far more lucrative than all of Marvel combined in Star Wars. She injects it with her feminist bullshit, and in 3 movies destroys the entire franchise, and it's at a financial loss now. Yeah. You know what you and I need to do? We need to go on Masculine Geek together and talk about this shit on Masculine Geek. I'm ready.
That would be a good, I mean, maybe we could talk about whatever the hell you want to here, but I thought when you're talking about this, I'm like, you would be a really good guest for those guys. It would be fun for both of us to go on there and just sort of shoot the breeze about franchises that have turned into sort of woke, vehicles for a woke narrative. What was this? The real Sam Wilson wouldn't have given up the shield. That's true.
Facts.
He would have been Captain America in the first episode, not the last. By real, I mean masculine. Yeah, and that's true. And the other thing I also thought was interesting is this. And God damn it. Okay, now you're going to get me on this.
I didn't see the last episode, so
on this as well. No,
you spoiled it for me.
You saw enough of this. The guy the white guy who becomes Captain America briefly before Sam takes over.
Yeah.
He becomes U.S. agent later on at the end of the thing. But they make that guy, the guy who stepped into Steve Rogers, because he was Captain America for pretty much the whole show, right? They turn him into this little whiny, bitchy incel who can't control his behavior. Like he kills one of these guys with the shield and everything, and in front of everybody with a cell phone and stuff. And sorry, spoiler alert.
Okay, I wasn't watching anyways.
A little late. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're gonna watch it anyways. But when I saw that, it's the same narrative that Disney has used for classic franchises like Star Wars. If you look at the first episode of the new trilogy or whatever, they kill Han Solo in the very first one. Kill him. Put a lightsaber through his guts. Kill him. They don't kill Princess Leia. She dies on her own in the very last thing, peacefully and honorably, and they have this big, ceremony for her and everything else. Han Solo dead in the end with it before the first by the half of the movie he's already dead. And that was I think that was what they set out to do. Destroy the male characters of that series. And Chewbacca is still he's a dog, right? He's the loyal friend. They're not going to kill Chewbacca. God forbid you can't kill a dog in any movie, period. But they killed off Han Solo. Han Solo is an alpha archetype. He is just like Iron Man. He is just like Captain Kirk. He is just like Batman. He is that maverick, independent scoundrel alpha, right? And then you've got Luke Skywalker, who is the honorable Captain America, Superman alpha. At least he had to sort of come into his own and become who he was, but they completely changed that character into the whiny bitch. That's what they turned him into. That's what they turned Captain America into, even though they couldn't get to Steve Rogers, who had already retired, but they took that character and the uniform and they put a whiny bitch in that uniform. And they do that on purpose. That's why they killed Han Solo. That's why Luke turns into a whiny bitch and dies really kind of dishonorable.
Into a MGTOW. Same thing as the guy who becomes Steve Rogers. He's an incel MGTOW. I can't have my way. That's what they want you to think that archetype really is. Yep. Meanwhile, the Rey is the new Luke Skywalker, and she's a Mary Sue, but that's the archetype that they want you to believe it. Like that's the strong, independent woman archetype, right? And yet the Mandalorian tends to be the best of the series because it's got little Grogu in it, and women really want babies and not lightsabers. I just think with all this that we're talking about, I just think it really just shows you that I believe that America, the psyche.
Falcon is Tyrell. I don't know about that, but yeah. I see where you're going with that.
I think that a lot of America is starving for traditional masculinity. That's why I think Trump was elected, to be honest with you. I think people are starving for it. And, it's reflective in what they consume in the culture. Because what do we consume what we can't have, right? That's why porn's so popular. Right. Yep. Same thing with the movies. Right. Look, if James Bond turns out to be, James Soy in this next movie, you're going to see ratings plummet. And guess what's going to be blamed? Toxic masculinity and all conservative alt-right fans.
Well, that's
whatever.
Yeah, that's a marketing scheme for movies right now. That's what they did with Captain Marvel. They knew damn well it was going to flop. They had to buy ratings from Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't know why anyone even refers to those. I don't know how they're in business anymore. They're basically a subsidiary of Disney and Paramount and any other, anyone who needs ratings kind of thing. But what they did was they knew that it was going to flop. And so what they do is they go, okay, this is going to be a flop, but we need to make it not our fault that it's a flop. It's these alt-right, white male supremacists over here, and these conventionally these red pill guys. It's their fault. They can't get with the progressive times or whatever. Red pill Mike. When men watch action movies, at some point we understand that the fictional story is based around an extreme exception to the rule. When women watch rom-coms, they genuinely believe that is a non-fictional story based on everyday norms. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That guy needs a Don DeMarco.
Well, you know what? There you go. Had that ready to go.
That's so true because, these girls, like I said, these chicks are delusional. They truly feel they deserve the 6 foot tall Chad with the 6-pack abs, the six-figure salary, with the 6-inch long dick that every time he has sex with them gives them a mind-blowing orgasm, and they just believe that they just deserve this perfect existence. They feel entitled to it because they've been brainwashed since they were like a little girl to think you're the best and you only deserve the best, right? And now it's like what's happening in Fight Club. We've all been told that when we grow up, we're going to be rock stars, we're going to be rich, we're going to be celebrities, and we're not. And we're very, very angry. That's what's happening with the chicks right now.
Yes, E. Burton says women don't typically like sci-fi or action films. Yeah, unless Chris Hemsworth is in it, then they love it.
Yeah.
So who or Jason Momoa as Aquaman, the most popular of the Justice League series. So who exactly are these writers advertising to when they inject feminism into it? Well, they're
No one.
No one.
Didn't you see there's leaked you probably have not seen this, but there was leaked photos from within the Kennedy camp at Lucasfilm, and on one of the girls' desk, she has a picture of Luke Skywalker with a red X over his face. Did you hear about that?
They want him dead. They wanted those characters dead because they want those ideals, those masculine. That's how dangerous conventional masculinity is. That's how dangerous it is for men to actually know, as we said yesterday on Rule Zero, to know what their intrinsic value is to women. Because if it takes power away from women. It takes and how do men do that? Men take power away from women by removing their control over hypergamy. That's how. That's why women hate the red pill. That's why they hate Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, because they're powerless against that particular guy. That's the guy that they want. That's the guy that other guys want to be, to the point where we're writing fictional stories about those guys. That's the guy that other men want to be, other men aspire to, and other women want to fuck. Right. And if guys can figure that out for themselves, it takes that power away from them. That's why women hate it when men have exercise any kind of authority over women's sexual or their reproductive power, which is hypergamy. Okay, if I can't have, she was just saying this on Tim Pool, if I can't have what I want when I want it, then I've got to find ways to legislate or put it into the popular consciousness that you need to stay in your lane. You need to know that you're a beta male, and if you try to approach me, it's going to be a hate crime. That's misogyny. I don't want that. I don't want those unwanted advances from guys who aren't hot. I don't want anybody to approach me who isn't a high value man. And you know what? If they can't have that when they want it, how they want it, they will legislate a way to make it illegal for the beta male guy to come in and say, "Hey, Susan, looking good," right? HR, help me. That's if they can't find a way to to get guys to gaslight themselves into staying in their lane, into believing in their particular league or whatever, they will find a way to legislate it so that they can maintain 100% eugenic control over the reproductive process for human beings. What's this?
Hey, I got a white pill for you.
Okay.
First of all, have you ever, I know you're a busy man, but you probably have not recently gone over to the official Star Wars YouTube channel, have you?
Not in a long time. I haven't bothered with Star Wars since like the second movie of the new trilogy.
Oh, this gets great. Well, so first of all, every single video is some fucking feminist running her goddamn mouth about, "Hey guys, here's our latest blah, blah, blah Star Wars garbage." And it just has a complete feminine spin on it. And the Star Wars fan are so fed up with the Gina Carano situation that if you go to the official Star Wars YouTube channel, every video has more thumbs down than thumbs up. Did you know that? Every video. You can check it out right now.
On the Star Wars channel? Or
on the official Star Wars YouTube. Because they call it the fandom menace, and the fans, they have struck back, and they're actually in the process of renegotiating and bringing Gina Carano back. The number one reason they wanted Gina Carano gone, guess why? She wasn't part of the in-group that wanted to bring down the Skywalker legacy. That did, and also she was obviously supported Trump and supported fucking just conservative values. They're so brainwashed with that agenda that's been pumped into their mind in college that they just think anything traditional bad, and anything that supports traditional values, masculinity, must be destroyed, despite them literally destroying the Star Wars brand and Favreau doing his best to resolve everything and actually giving a breath of life into the Star Wars brand. They are still like,
it's over. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. The
So
moment is well, I don't know about Master Chief and Halo or anything like that being female, but I will say this because I had this conversation with Rich because Rich tweeted this out, and you don't know because you're not on Twitter now. But I guess the new James Bond is going to be this black chick named Lashana Lynch. I don't know if you're familiar with.
No. It's not like that. So she's the new 007. This is actually kind of red pill.
Not James Bond, but the new number 007.
She's the new 007, and she can't do a good enough job, so they have to call James Bond to come bail her out.
Come teach her how to be
He has to
007.
they call him out of retirement. He has to come save her.
I thought that was really ironic because it's like that they have to force fit that, and it's okay. It's not black. It's not woman. It's like it's a bad choice of care. Like why do that? Especially if you're looking for a new James Bond. Why are you not looking at Tom Ellis from Lucifer? That dude is James Bond. That guy, the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he delivers a line. I mean, he's a good actor and everything else. I don't know if he would accept it, but an English gentleman who would play that part to the fucking teeth.
Yeah.
No. We need Lashana Lynch. Like it's right here. He'd probably jump at the chance to do that, and he probably put out like better movies than even Daniel Craig has put out up to this point. But we don't need that. That doesn't even occur to them to like see, hey, can we get Tom Ellis to do this? You know what I'm talking about? Tom Ellis from Lucifer.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw his workout regimen on like a men's health thing the other day.
I hate to be a fanboy, but I think he would be as good a 007 as like Hugh Jackman is at like Wolverine. Like he is Wolverine.
I think the cat is out the bag, man. I think that that now Western society, they know and they crave on some level. They may not know that they want it, but they definitely seek after it. A lot of guys want traditional values back. A lot of young men and women want in their life. They want a father because of the single mother epidemic that's plaguing the United States. And you're seeing that in you're seeing that in what pop culture they consume, what movies they consume, what shows they consume. And I think that, I think this is a beginning of a little bit of a turn in the culture, a very small one, but the fact that the fans in Star Wars were able to collectively band together and be like, no, this bitch Kathleen Kennedy has to go. We don't like this situation happening with Gina Carano. And again, it's sad that it had to be based around a woman, but some of the women are starting to turn against him. And, here we are. And on the brink of her coming back, which is going to be a massive fuck you. And word on the street is Kathleen Kennedy is on her way out. Bob Chapek said,
God, I hope so. Yeah. At what point does the money like become, I had this theory, especially about like Captain Marvel. I don't know how we got on this topic, but I think that like a company that is the size of Disney, a media company that owns ESPN, owns Vice, owns what else? Well, owns Star Wars, owns Fox, owns what don't the ABC, right? What don't they own?
Yeah.
I think they can afford to take a hit on something like Captain Marvel because they want to put that narrative out. It's worth them to. It's like buying the narrative and putting it into the public consciousness. Yeah. The question is, why would they do that? I think that they like say, well, they wouldn't produce a movie that they didn't think was going to make money, maybe break even. Maybe they're not going to do it to lose money, but I think that there is a certain amount of value to companies like this to foist this narrative on us.
I think the only reason
Jimmy in Dallas, sorry, let me read this real quick. It got by me, man. That's why it says they want a female James Bond. What the fuck? James Bond is a male fantasy. Yeah, it is. It's a male archetype.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say this, right? It's just when it came to Captain Marvel being the $1 billion success that it was, the majority. I watched Captain Marvel and I vehemently hate Brie Larson. But the reason I watched it is because it's required reading to put the continuity for the whole. It was the one movie before Avengers Endgame, so the whole thing came together by watching that atrociously boring movie.
All right, man. I the reason I have you on here is because I want to know about your masculine. I could keep going forever on this. And by the way, let me finish. Let me put a nice little cherry on top of this, because I always say this to the guys in Masculine Geek. If you guys want to be millionaires, crypto, great, stick with crypto. But you want to be a real millionaire, go against this narrative. Write creative content that goes against that narrative. Do you remember when the Roseanne Barr show came back? And it was like the #1 show on a Disney channel, on ABC. It was the #1 show on there. And it was because she was pushing. She was a Trump supporter. She was pushing against, whether she was or she wasn't, she was pushing against that narrative. And it was a #1 show because it was a breath of fresh air in this desert of wokeness. And the minute that Roseanne Barr started mouthing off about something that, a political opinion or whatever, they killed that series. They didn't try to end that series without her. They just killed it. Yep. And it was their #1 series. And
same thing with Tim Allen. And that's
Tim Allen, Last Man Standing. They did not want that narrative out there. So they didn't complete the story without that character. They just dead, gone. Bye-bye. Let's put something else on there. And that right there should tell you how dedicated and how committed and how married they are to that woke narrative. So what I tell guys is this: write the next Han Solo, write the next James Bond. Right. That's why I thought Tom Ellis would be great for James Bond, because he would be getting back to that thing. Now that's never gonna happen, but we need new stories. We need new Han Solo. We need new Captain Kirk, right? We need guys who are unapologetically masculine bastards who go out there and get things done. Because even the chick that's on Tim Pool's channel here is, we need men, we need more masculine men, blah 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 blah. And they want that. They want men to be accountable and responsible for that. They just don't want men to have that authority. Write characters that will take that authority back. And that was what I wanted to end this whole show on, was this, is that as a man, if you're going to be high value, there's two things you've got to have. One of them is responsibility. That's all we talk about, is you got to be responsibility for your success. You got to have this amount of money. You got to have all your shit together as a result. But you know what? That doesn't make a hella difference if you don't have authority. If you're not willing to enforce that authority, that, you say, I'm the shit and I have the authority to enforce that I'm the shit. And if you have all of this responsibility and you have all of this value, it means nothing if you don't enforce that authority. You have to talk about boundaries and all this other shit. Boundaries, talking about it means nothing. Enforcing it. Yep. Demonstrate, do not explicate. If that means you write the next Han Solo character, if that means you write the next, red pill fiction, please do so, because you know what? It will be hugely popular. Because that's what people want right now. They're not getting it, and they're not going to get it from something like ABC or Disney or any of the big media conglomerates that are going on right now. Write those stories. We need new stories, and we need new storytellers. And the only way you're going to be popular is if you go and you push back hard against this, and you take that authority back. You have to take the power back. Authority is never given. It has to be something that you take back. Yep. If you want to say, well, what about women? We need to be equal and even Steven. No, you need to take the power back. You need to take that authority back from, instead of saying, oh, well, let's give those men a little bit of authority so we feel better, because that's what we really want. We want to be feminine while you be masculine. So we're going to give you that authority. Bullshit. You have to take that authority and take it back and use that and be unapologetic about it. That's why you want to know why guys like Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit and everybody else is very, very popular right now. They're pushing against that. They're pushing against this narrative that says we got to treat women like special little angels and snowflakes. Fuck you. Yep. You don't have to do that. You will never take the authority back. That's why those shows are popular. That's why Kevin Samuels, in not even a year, is almost at 1 million subs. That's why. Write those stories, write those characters, push back against the narrative, and you will profit handsomely because of that. Sorry. Anyways,
no, you're spot. Another thing is this: a lot of guys, you see these lower beta male kind of types saying like, "Oh, we need to work together with women to build a new future."
Egalitarianism.
No, you don't. You need to tell them this is your place. This is where you need to cooperate, because we have given you freedom. and you have squandered it, and you've pulled the rest of society down with you. That's how it's always been working. I mean, that's how it's always been worked. Dude, you told me to this day, your wife, until this day, 25 years later, still defers to you. Still defers to you. There's a reason why your marriage is successful.
I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast, but since we're on the topic, I'll tell you, you know what the best compliment I've ever received from a woman is?
What's that?
Was from my wife. And she said, I hope that our daughter finds a guy that is as good as you. That is that is just like you. I mean, how many guys like get that from their wife or anybody else for that matter? How many guys even get a compliment from their wives, right? Or get that, because most, especially wives, but like most women don't want a guy to get a big head, because if they do, they think, oh, that guy's going to take it in the wrong way, right? Well, if you're married to that guy and he's the one for you and he's your Prince Charming and he's the guy that you wanted to have babies with and he's the guy that you wanted to marry, not just get married, then why is it like pulling teeth to get an organic compliment from somebody? And like I said, the best compliment she ever gave me was that she said, I hope that our daughter finds a man that is as good as you. And I was just like, oh, stab me in the heart, twist that, you know, like, mission accomplished, I can die now. So tell me how the Masculine Empowerment Network is going to re-empower us and to take the authority back.
Well, look,
what do you got going on? You have the registration closes tomorrow, right?
Registration closes tomorrow at midnight, right? So this is what the Masculine Empowerment Network is. It's been a very successful, long-running project for over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. We are educating guys on how to be a high-value man and how to be self-sufficient and how to have respect for yourself and have success in the dating life and have success in your finances all in one. It's a year membership, okay? Mm-hmm. So what you get is you get access to our private forum. We're making a censorship-free forum where Facebook can't ban us, Twitter can't ban us, YouTube can't shadow ban us, where we're going to be able to post field reports, financial reports, weight loss reports, money muscles game, all on this forum. We're going to fill the space that the Roosh V forum has left, because Roosh V forum, you can't even talk about game or anything. All you could talk about is Jesus, right? So we're going to replace that void. We have access to a team of experts, and we have 60 live Zoom coaching sessions where you could come and talk to me, come talk to Rollo, come talk to all the people in our Red Pill network, high-level guys that are multi-millionaires, millionaires, cryptocurrency millionaires, okay? Charlie from Cultivate Crypto, who's been on this show, will be in there. Miguel will be in there as well, Dollar Cost Crypto. We'll talk about how to escape the West. We'll be talking about how to make money online. We'll be talking about how to build a creative and well-marketable online presence with your dating apps and Instagram. We're going to talk to you with Afi Kingdom about deep game. Okay,
I was just on with. Did you see that? I was just on with Afi on Thursday or no Friday.
Yep, he's very underrated. He really knows his stuff.
How much is it going to be? Jimmy
only $6.97. And Rollo has I put the link in the private chat for you, Rollo. If you want.
Yeah. I put it in. I'll kick it out here again. It will be in the description here in just a second. We went to Showtime before I could put it out there, but it's in the comments right now.
So you get 60 sessions of coaching, and each coaching session is a minimum of 2 hours. To be honest, average they go 4 hours per one, but you're going to get a minimum of 120 hours of coaching. You get my course, Body Language Mastery, completely for free, which I have filmed 2 separate Japanese female models that give body language gestures to show you, oh, when a woman is sexually interested in you, she does this. When a woman is sexually not interested in you, she does this. In addition to that, you get instant access to a Telegram chat where we have right now in that Telegram chat at this very moment. Let me just pull up real quick. We have 154 members in the Telegram chat right now. And these are live. This is a live feed, live guys posting their pics, posting their Instagram, posting their dating apps, saying like, hey, what can I do to optimize? Hey, this girl just said this in a text message. How should I reply? Hey, I just went on a date with a girl. XYZ happened. What should I do?
Field reports. Yep.
Field reports, everything live. Okay. Mac the Day Gamer just posted some X-rated videos of him and two girls he hooked up with last night at the same time. Some art students he met in Tokyo. So you can see that. There's so much value in that. And in addition to that, if you can't attend the live coaching sessions, they're all recorded, they're all edited, and they are going to be available at a later date. But you get access immediately to 200 plus hours of coaching sessions that we did in 2019 and 2020. So you have access to all of that as well. In addition to that, if you take a look here, I'll share my screen. Give me 1 second, and I'll show you exactly. Did I just close out? Am I still here?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. I closed it wrong.
I made you main screen.
Cool. All right, and then let me just show you. Where is it? Okay. So I gotta move StreamYard over here. Okay, and then here's the schedule for an example of what you get. So here's an example of the schedule. Roll, if you just put that on the screen, you can add it to the main screen right here. So on May 5th, this Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the opening ceremony when we explain what's going to happen. The very same day, 9 p.m., we come back, right? And we talk about Red Pill Thor is going to be talking about becoming a more durable man. The next morning, we have Troy Francis talking about fashion, how to dress, how to take care of yourself, how to have good fashion in order to have a good dating life and just market yourself correctly. Avi Kingdom is there, talk about how to take her soul, deep level game. We have two guys that are actual psychological experts talking about inner game. So we have how to champion your authentic self, and then limiting beliefs. Paul from Apex Mindset talks about handling conflict in an LTR. Sterling Cooper talks about eliminating bedroom performance issues. On the 11th, we have a firearms and safety demonstration talking about how to load a gun, how to unload a gun, how to clean a gun. And we'll be doing demonstrations with handguns, rifles, and shotguns. King Dre is going to talk about how to make a woman fall in love on the 12th. And then the 12th at night, we have Ignite Website Marketing talking about how to make money with a website and marketing online so you can move abroad and be 100% location independent. Troy Francis comes back with day game infields. Wraith talks about frame discussion. Charlie from Cultivate Crypto will be talking about printing money with cryptocurrency. Mac, the Day Gamer, will be talking about turning bitches out, just bringing out the freaky side of girls, right? That's a great presentation. This is going to be my favorite day, personally, the 14th. Red Pill Thor talks about alternative bedroom game, BDSM, harems, threesomes. On the 17th, I'll be talking about deep psychological seduction. And then on the 18th, I'll be talking about how to escape the West. Because as you can see, I've escaped the West. And then we have the closing ceremony. So this is just 20 of the 60 we have planned. This 20 starts on May 5th. We take a break. We'll be back at the end of summer with another 20. And then we'll be back in fall with the last 20, rounding off the year.
There you go. And I'll be in there at some point. Actually, I'm kind of auditing these classes so that I can actually do a counseling seminar at some point myself. So, but I will definitely be available for some of these. So.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Like I said, we already have at this point right now, we have over 150 people who have signed up. The exact number I can give you here in 1 second. The exact number is 164 people have signed up and enrolled for the Masculine Empowerment Network, and that's only in 3 days. Yeah, 164. That number is going to be well over 200. And the thing is, like, when we grow in numbers, the power of the group grows as well.
Exponentially, yeah.
We have doctors, we have Navy SEALs, we have special units, we have police officers, we have anesthesiologists. Okay, we have cardiologists. This is not a group of like, little incels. This is like a group of real men doing real work and getting real results. I mean, we are turning guys into millionaires with the crypto stuff alone. So we just want to do this to bring as many people together so we can collectively pool our information together and become like this red pill hive mind, right? Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean, it's been massively successful these last 2 years. It's going to continue to be a massive success. And I'm looking forward to another fruitful 2021, because 2020, despite what happened, 2020 was the best year of my life. And 2021 is also summing up.
Doing good. Yeah.
In May, and it's already on track to be the best year of my life as well. So we're just trending up and up and up. And we want to bring in guys who are ready to do the work and move forward and get the results that they believe they deserve.
Right. And again, this is like, I always audit classes. I always audit these things so that I can see what I'm getting into. Like I usually like when I'm working with John or anybody else, I'll wait for like 1 or 2 sessions or 1 or 2 classes or 1 or 2 episodes just to sort of pass so I can see what the the consensus is on it. And then John is the only one that I've met so far that has been consistently good, has been consistently along, certainly along red pill lines as that I've endorsed. Right now, there's also other guys. I've endorsed Myron's stuff. I've endorsed Rich's stuff. I've endorsed lots of other people's stuff. But you're the one that I consistently endorse the most. And people say, well, it's just because you guys are all just on the same team. Yeah, we are. Yeah, because we like to associate with people who actually are walking the walk, talking the talk, doing this stuff and doing it consistently. It's not like, oh, it's just a fly by night where he just did two of these teachable things and he's out the door. John does this all the time. Yep. Troy does this all the time. Ryan does this all the time. Aaron Clary does this all the time, right? Nobody gives me grief. It's funny. Nobody gives me grief about endorsing Aaron Clary stuff. They only give me grief about endorsing Sergeant Slaughter here. So
it's all good.
So this has been good. This has been a good discussion. If you guys are interested, I'll do this one more time and drop my link in here real quick. Thank you, Samishi, for putting this in there. That's great. I'll do it one more time.
Mark L just signed up using your link right now. Mark L just signed up now using your link. So shout out to Mark.
And then registration closes when?
Tomorrow night, midnight, Cali time.
And I always get in late. You guys know this. I'm always the last one who does these episodes. There's a reason for that. Usually because my shows are on Sundays. That's why. But do check this out. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of material that's here. And even if it's like you say, well, I'm not into crypto. Well, there might be something else that you are into, like loading guns. Who knows? I don't know why you would find value in it. But there's lots of things to find value in this too. So there you have it. Thanks for joining me once again. I will be back on Wednesday for my 30-minute show. And yes, I am going to, I keep getting this request about like dark triad traits and things like that. I'm going to probably talk about like why Lucifer Morningstar and evil is so attractive to women. So I'll probably be talking about that on Wednesday. And then Ryan Stone will be hosting Rule Zero on Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. In the morning. So Ryan will be the host for that, this upcoming thing. You have anything else going on besides this, or you just doing your show and that's it?
No, I'm so here's the deal. I'm going to do my show Monday, and then I'm pretty much not going to live stream all the month of May. I'm taking this is the first and longest break I've ever taken, because I'm going to focus 100% on the Masculine Empowerment Network. And then I'm going to go meet up some of the guys from the Masculine Empowerment Network in Dubai. So, I've got these big trips planned ahead of me, and we're doing real big things in real life. It's not just an internet video game. It's not just a YouTube popularity contest over here. We're making real moves in real life. So that's why we want to join. We want you guys to join, and we look forward to just helping serve you for the rest of the year.
Cool. And then I mentioned last episode that I was going to have a special announcement. My special announcement is I will be in Miami on June 11th through the 13th. If you want to know why I'm going to be in Miami on those dates, you have to go over to George Gammon's channel and find out exactly why I will be there. And then I will also be there later. I'm going to go and do some shows with Fresh and Fit during that week, the the week that comes after that. So like the 14th through I think like the 18th or the 19th, something like that. So I'll be doing some stuff. I'm trying to work something out with Sterling Cooper so I can do a show with him. I'm also working on maybe getting another special guest for a Fresh Fit episode, but you have to go to George Gammon's channel to find out why I will be there on the 11th through the 13th. So go check that out. Go look at that. And then also go check out that interview. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It was one of my high points, I think, of 2021 so far. So John, thanks for joining me. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. I don't know when I'm going to post it, but it'll be a recorded show on Wednesday. So there you go. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.